Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, period, does the FBI find people? The people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case?
I object. I object.
Well, guess what's happening? I'm here, but the camera's not. I was frozen in time, Debbie. We'll give it a minute. And it's another fine moment to say not sponsored by GoPro, right? Not sponsored, but we should be. We should be. You guys thought I was just deep in thought, right? I'm glad it didn't have me in some weird position, that would have been weird. Let's see. Good morning. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. With a little luck, I will have a second camera here in just a minute. Wait for it.
The zombie apocalypse may be upon us.
No such luck.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Okay, we're gonna give it one more turn it off and turn it on again cycle, which is the extent of my technical prowess when it comes to fixing cameras.
This is not Burger King. People do not get to have it their way.
Maybe it says it's working, but I see nothing.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
This is no bueno. This is no bueno. This is not good. Give me just 1 second. All right, the camera thinks it's the weekend. What's amazing is that it was working all night long because I never turned this camera off. It was working all night long, and then this morning, mid-intro, it chose that moment to say, all done. All done.
Have them send someone with more experience.
Maybe it just needs the... now guess what we have right now? Well, we have Mini-Me in the corner. So this is a slight improvement, which means at least the camera is still functioning. We'll do one more reboot cycle, and I think we'll be there. Wait for it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Good to have you here. Oh, look at that. Not sponsored by GoPro. There it is. Woot. Maybe if GoPro would send me a new camera, it would work better. That'll work. You can't see that I still have all the pipe fittings on the floor right down here that I have still not taken back to Lowe's because I got 0 things done on my list last night. I ended up popping over to Megan's channel for her birthday stream, and wow, what a party. They party pretty hard. Got to pop in there with Dr. Joe briefly and say hi. Sang her the happy birthday song, which we'll have to do here as well, because that is what we do. But first,
are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
I have to say, oh no, why is that not working? So many things to break. They're all broken this morning. Check the Wi-Fi. Yes, I'm on the FBI surveillance van Wi-Fi network. That's the right one.
How does he do that?
There we go. All right, Andrew, welcome. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning, Andrew. First in chat this morning. Actually, you were second, but it was regifted to you, which can be done one time. So basically, you're stuck now. You're stuck. Congratulations. First in chat every time we go live is awarded the internet. Why is this important? Because somebody has to take care of it for the rest of us so we can use it. If this was not taken care of, this whole magic of YouTube could not happen. So, Andrew, this lands squarely on your shoulders today. Hopefully you have a little bit of IT experience down under. I think they wire things backwards down under, but hopefully you can use your experience and fix the internet, or at least keep it running. As Kimar had it, going pretty nicely yesterday. We had a little bit of a hiccup with YouTube last night. The YouTube actually just about crashed. All the live streams, they were showing people that had 2,000 people in the live stream were getting it showed 13. So the numbers were off, but we're not gonna complain because the chat was still functioning. But Andrew, if you could make sure that doesn't happen today, we'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Because we have a big day today. Why do we have a big day today? Well, let me tell you. We have a big day because
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday. I will have to refresh after that one. We made it halfway to the week, at least halfway to the weekend. Let's see. Pauline says, all right, it's my birthday today. I'm a very young 81 today. Pauline, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's amazing. We did make it here. Congratulations. I heard a couple of you yelling hump day as well. So a show of hands, who yelled hump day? Just own up. I can go back and check the cameras and call you all out, or you can admit to it now. Okay, so that's how it works. Who yelled hump day? Nosy because said I covered my ears. Amber's like it was me right there. See, I knew I could hear. It was beautiful. I was sipping coffee. It wasn't me, says Ashley. All right, a few of you, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys joining in. I yelled internationally this account. Whatever language you yell it in, when it comes to my ears, it's translated automatically through Google Translate, and I hear hump day with a German accent. So yeah, that counts. Wonderful, wonderful morning. Good morning. I am so excited to be here this morning. We have some good stuff. We have some great stuff. First of all, birthdays are coming up, and so I will listen carefully for the birthday message and make sure that Pauline, you're on that list. But we have to do this first. Let's see. Allie Lane, member for 4 months. Hello. Can you please sing happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Lexi? She is now 13. Lexi, we will add you to the list as well. So Pauline and Lexi should be on that list. Kevin H. Bacon says, good morning, our friend. Happy Wednesday to you and our fellow jurors. Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate you being here. Congratulations on the 7 months. That yellow looks great on you. So we've got Lexi and Pauline already. Let's see if we have any other birthdays to sing to today. And the cry of hump day echoed across the hills, across the generations. It sounds like the end of some sappy book. Let's see, anyone else who has a birthday? Let's see, Jennifer Cockfield Kane. If we can get your mom's name, we'll add that as well. You redeemed yourself from last week's hump day. It was a tired one. Last week was weak. It was a weak week. You're going to injure yourself one day. Mostly I'm just worried that it's going to make my voice crack when I'm singing happy birthday. That's all. We'll give you guys just a few minutes here to get the names in for the birthday song, and we're going to kick off. Today we have a little bit of, it's going to feel like a rewind. You're like, didn't we hear this already? Yes, we heard it already, but we didn't see it. Why? Because we were watching a different camera. Had similar audio, but we're going to watch to this morning the replay from day 14, which was yesterday in court, which was Tuesday, and then we're going to watch the afternoon, which just froze up and there was no video for. So we're gonna get the replay, which was spicy. We should have the spicy meter as well. Let me just check. I'm looking for spice right now. I think I've got it over here. It was on the desktop somewhere. I put everything on my desktop. What's that noise? Guys, I'm getting a weird noise on my computer. I think it's... I don't even know where it's coming from. Why is my computer ringing and not my phone? And where is it ringing? That's a better question. Oh, I've got a million windows open. You surprised? Okay. Judge Boyce, I need him for later. Oh, what was this one? Ooh, that's more equipment. We'll keep that open as well. Let's see, we have. Ooh, there it was. I missed a hump day. Hump day almost. Okay, who was calling? 316 area code. Call again. Call again. We're gonna try this again. Oh, it's not plugged in. That's why. Wait, don't call yet. I dropped it. Still don't call.
Have them send someone with more experience.
Okay, now we're ready. Now we're ready. You can call again now. All right, let's see. While they're redialing the burner number, there we go. Boom. Let's see. Pauline is on there. Jamie's 6 years cancer free.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches.
Okay, hang on.
I don't know who won.
We need to add Lexi. Is Lexi on there? I don't see Lexi. We need to add Lexi to this list. So I'm going to copy and paste. Jamie, congratulations on 6 years being cancer free. That is just awesome. Here's to many, many more. I need to type right here. Lexi and all these people. Okay, is that good? Lexi, Tristan, Pauline, Marissa, and Eileen. I think we're good. Jamie, congratulations. I don't think it's your birthday, Jamie, so we're not going to sing happy birthday to you, but we do want to definitely congratulate you on that 6 year anniversary, which is awesome. Laween Maev. I don't even know where that name is. Holy cow. Hopefully that's not one I have to pronounce often, because I don't think I'll get that right. Okay, let's get ready to sing the birthday song. Uh-oh. We have more birthdays coming in. Okay, guys, Sharon asked for birthdays, and now you're late. So it makes it a little complicated here. Paste. No, that didn't work. So I'm going to make the list here on my computer. We're going to do Lexi. We have Tristan. Hope your name doesn't have a B in it, or else it will. Let's see, Pauline. Pauline, that's awesome. Pauline, Marissa, and Eileen. Okay, I've got them. Who else was on the list? I see the dancers warming up already. This is good. Can't do the pronunciation guide version. I can't. This is one area I fail at. Charlie Raven, I heard your daughter is going to turn 14. Is that today? Charlene has a birthday too. We've got to figure out a way to do this. Neil. This is terribly difficult for Sharon, I might add. Add Bella, D, and Eden. Bella, D, Eden. Got a lot here. It's going to be a 3-verser. Let's see. You've been pronouncing my name wrong this entire time. It's Red Pen. Okay, I'll get that in the future. Mountain Dew needs to sponsor you. Match made in heaven. Let's see. So we've got Eden. Just taking one more check to make sure we've got anybody else on the list. Charlene. We've got Charlene. Neil added. There's got to be a program my son could probably write that would track this, so people could do a command when it was their birthday, and then they would be able to just be added to the list. All right. I think we've got everybody. Add Marissa, says Amber. Add Marissa. No, she's already on. Sharon got her already. I am having quite a morning. It's been a rough one. I stayed up too late partying with the good folks over on the other. I've never been on a stream with the umbrella guy and Larry, the DUI lawyer, before. What a party! So appreciate the invite. I'm not going to get this. All right. How'd the bathroom model go? It didn't go at all. I literally fell asleep sitting in my office chair, woke up in time to make it to the party, partied a little too long. It got wild. I left, and now here we are. That's it. All right. We are going to, Joe was there. Yes, Joe was there. Who did you party with and why? I was invited, and it was a birthday party, and friends were there, so I said sure. Okay, well, let's get ready and do the birthday song before it grows so long. If we take much longer, we're going to have to add tomorrow's names as well. Sorry, Charlene says, you can remove my name. It's my daughter Bella's birthday. Okay, Charlene is out. Bella is in. That makes sense. It's Victoria Spice. It's Victoria. Oh, Posh Spice. I ran into her in the supermarket when I was in England. No kidding. She was there with her mom, shopping at the Sainsbury's. So she's 50 today. I didn't know. Wow. It seems like she was just a teenager just the other day. All right. Sounds like an alibi recitation. I'm sticking to that story, Judy. I really am. All right, it's time to sing happy birthday to everybody. Lexi, Tristan, Pauline, Marissa, Eileen, Neil, Bella, Dee, and Ayden. All names that we can fit together in one neat verse. Okay, maybe two verses. It's going to work great. So let's see. We're going to sing together. This is not me singing to you. This is us raising our voices together in unison or in harmony, as the case may be. I like to think that other people sing the low note with me. But we're going to sing together to celebrate these wonderful birthdays and this great day. Please, wherever you are, even if you're driving, well, pull over to a safe spot, because I need you to check the screen and, make sure you sing all the birthday names right. But pull over to a safe spot and then belt it out. Roll down your windows. Let it be heard. If you're in a cubicle, stand up, announce that it's time to sing the birthday song, and everyone will join in your office. They're good like that. So here we go. Warm-ups with me. La, 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 la. There we go. Sopranos covered. Harmonize with a mezzo-soprano. That's going to sound great. Here we go. Everybody, blend your voices now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lexi, Tristan, Pauline, Marissa, and Eileen. Happy birthday to you. We got halfway through, which means we just have Neil, Bella, Dee, and Ayden left. All names with 5 characters or less. Coincidence? I think not. I planned it this way. Here we go. Big finish, second verse. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Neil, Bella, Dee, and Ayden. Happy birthday to you. We sang to Eileen, right? Happy birthday, Eileen, right in the middle. I'm not sure. I want to make sure we got everybody. So many dancers. I didn't know the dancers brought their own poles, but apparently they did today. So probably just for support. You don't want to sprain an ankle up there. Looking good, looking good. You guys are amazing. To everyone who's celebrating birthday today, happy birthday. The hump day yell is still not. I haven't recovered quite yet, but happy birthday. I realize there are a million places you could be and a million people you could celebrate with. You've chosen to be here with us. Thank you. That privilege, pleasure, and honor is ours alone. Hopefully we can make your day a little bit better. Thank you for the wonderful sing-along as well. You guys were beautiful. The dance is working great. I love that everyone uses the exact same dance icons. This is great. The costumes are fantastic. Fireworks at the end even. We had the shimmies. my poles so I can get back up. We've got the jazz hands on the finish. Poles retract back into the ceiling. Belly dancers unite. Happy birthday. Remember to get your free pancakes at Denny's if they still allow that, which we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say yes. Happy birthday, everyone, says KQD. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful birthday. All right. Now, this might come back to bite me a little bit. But I have not traveled on an airplane since I moved to North Carolina. It's been like 5 years. And I soon have need of traveling on an airplane. And I am not good at finding the best deal of when to buy an airplane. So let's say, I don't know, August, September-ish, I have the need to travel out, to the Western United States. When is the right time to buy the ticket? Is it now? Is it like the sooner you buy it, the cheaper it is? Or are there? I've got the travel credits. All right, Nosy Rosie. I just need to let me redeem them. I mean, they've been calling over and over, but if I could just redeem them. I've heard Tuesdays are the best days to buy a ticket. When you buy an airplane, you mean a ticket. Oh, did I say buy an airplane? When to buy an airplane ticket is what I meant. I probably just got cut off. I'm not in the market for an airplane, for those that are asking. It's quite frankly, it's out of my budget, and I don't have a place to park it. Those two factors, maybe in that order, is why I'm not buying an airplane. Anyway, so curious, Tuesdays or Wednesdays, always buy insurance 3 months before and on a Tuesday. Day 15 of the Kelly trial. No, we've got day 14 rewatch because we had some problems yesterday. So we get to rewatch the Spice with the Spice meter, if I can get it working, which I should be able to get it working. It's a computer thing, right? That's what I do. Spice, right? There's Spice. There's my Spice folder. There's everything I need to open. I have Spice appearing on my screen. Let's see if I can move it on the other screen. I rebooted my laptop last night. Hopefully it fixes all the problems we've had. Okay, so channel 3. Hide the sidebar. Go full screen. Now we have Spice. Oh, no, we have Spice. And now I just need the fire. I need the fire. Where's the fire? Oh, the Spice is in the wrong spot. Okay, 1 second here. 1 second. We're gonna get there. Where is my Fire movie? It's on downloads, right? There's Fire. Checking for Fire. That's it. Okay, Fire's going to go on this screen right there. Oop, that's the wrong Fire. This Fire is white. It's hot white, but I needed a black Fire. Well, guys, white Fire it is, because I don't have time to remake this one. It's going to be hot white Fire, which I think makes it pop a little bit, so that'll work. So there's our Fire there. Now we go over here, and now we open up Spice. This behind-the-scenes stuff isn't as glamorous as you might think, right? There's our peppers. Open. Close that. Drag that over here. On our third virtual window. I don't know why this computer runs slowly. I just have it running a whole bunch of virtual monitors. Close that one. And play the Fire on continuous loop. The Fire is looping. There. Okay, we're good. All right. So apparently 3 months before, Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're going to be, can Stage 6 be the Spice Girls? Only if I want to get sued. I don't know if I can make an announcement today. I don't know if I can make an announcement of where I'm going. and why.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
I'm going to go on the Recovery Addict airline. Will Mrs. Ari let us come along if you buy the plane? We'll need a pilot as well, just for the record. But man, if I had my own airplane, think of all the cables I could bring with. That would be amazing. But that's the price of being a famous YouTuber making multi-billions per year. Steve, when it happens, I'll let you know. You'll be the first person to know. Google says best day to buy a ticket is 42 days before. I bet we have a pilot in chat now. We could call our favorite Grizzly channel and see if we could get some help. Megan's probably going to be going before me. I might be going at the same time. I'm not going. I don't think I'm going where Megan's going. I'm going to be shipping Megan some equipment that will help her out and help me out. But I don't think I'll be there at the what does she call it? The tonsil twins trial. Like, I will not explain that. No, we are not going there. All right, let's see. We're trying to go to Corey Richens, but we don't know when the date is. So we're trying to plan some things and visit family and everything else all at the same time. I bought Velcro cable ties because of you. Judy loved the Velcro ties. I have the little spongy tie right here. Let me go full screen. Let me tell you what we're doing today, if I can get it pulled up. Let's see. We have someone sent me the link. Basically, Courtroom 3 from the Santa Cruz Superior Courthouse YouTube feed has some of the Spicy Motions pre-trial, and it's funny to listen to some of the arguments they're making, the allegations the state's making, because they've changed quite a bit. Yeah, Amber, I'm not going any further. You've heard all that I'm going to offer. Okay, day 14 a.m. This is where we're going to start with pause right there. So that's court there. All right. What do you think about the Menendez case? Have not put any thought into that one. Wendy, you'll have to go over to Megan's channel, get the explanation there. I cannot do it here. That's just, we have standards. YouTube has standards. We just cannot go there. Wallflower, glad to be able to sing to your dad. Happy birthday. All right, here's what we're going to do today. I've said this a couple times. First of all, a quick update. Franklin Tucker had a hearing yesterday. The recording that we thought we'd get access to, we have the recording. It did not record Franklin Tucker, so you get to hear one side of a conversation. It's like listening to your mom talk on the phone, but she doesn't have the volume loud enough for you to hear the other person. It's sort of interesting, but at the same time, you really want to hear what's going on. So there's the problem. It's not going to be something we can watch. The gist of the matter is they have another hearing. What is it, in June or July? I can't remember. They have not yet set the date. There is some motions in there. I think there's a motion to sort of get rid of the new judge. We'll have to dig into that a little bit and see what's up. But I get a timeout. Okay, time me out. Can you time me out? I mean, I'm curious. It might like completely kill the channel, but if I were to type something, is that something the mods can time out? I'm curious. Just as a test, if the whole thing crashes right here, it's Amber's fault. Test timeout. I don't think I can time myself out. But here we go. So there I am. I talked. Amber, you brave enough to click the timeout button? Nope, just tried. Okay, I can't be timed out. That means I can say whatever I want. Whew. Well, the freedom that just gives me, that's unbelievable. I don't know what I'm going to do with this newfound freedom. All right, only block is available. It won't let us. All the mods, we tried. Trust me, we tried. Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it, Samantha Terry, as well. Oh, man, I have the best mods in the world. A couple things before we start the live feed, which I've got ready to go right now. First of all, yes, it is going to be a repeat from what we heard in the morning, and then we're going to hear the afternoon. I think I'm going to listen to 1.25 speed this morning because it is repeated. We don't want to, just have just the same content, but this was spicy, and I definitely want to hear. I want to see the reactions on the faces of various different personages in court. Why is it still playing? Back up. There it is. Okay. So we'll go 1.25 speed if we can. That should be great. And then we'll back that up. Pause there. So this is going to be replay in the morning, and it will be new stuff in the afternoon. Next, we've talked about Franklin Tucker and about how that's moving forward, and still some spice happening. We'll let you know where that stands because we want to follow that court case. Want to say big shout out to some great people who are helping me with getting international calls working. We have a little Discord option that may be ready to test. Now, which will give international people an option to call in that doesn't cost money and doesn't reveal my personal cell phone number. If you are the person who received that, just know that I think it's frankly against the Geneva Convention for you to reveal that number. Please do not share that number. If you were one of those who received that, just delete it. That would be great. The next thing is that the Discord solution we have. I am not a Discord person, meaning I love what I can find on Discord, especially as on the gavel drops. I just cannot run Discord, and I can't describe this. I have less than zero desire to ever have a Discord channel. Does that make sense? Less than zero. It's actually negative. It gives me anxiety to think that I will have a Discord channel where people can call me on. It's tough. I will get through that. I'll work through that for our international friends. But if you want information about true crime, if you want information about cases, if you want court documents, if you want updates, if you want great chat, if you want fun friends to talk to about Discord, please head over to As the Gavel Drops, the Discord page. They have been absolutely fantastic. They have literally walked this path with me on YouTube my entire journey, and they are wonderful. Yes, the Discord page will give you that link. It will go to As the Gavel Drops. There will be a separate link for international burner phone calls. Okay, international burner phone calls are just that. We don't want anyone else to use this locally. It's just going to be for international, and it's going to have its own link. Okay, it's a Discord page. I'll be in there. I guess we'll figure out how to make the audio work. We'll do some testing, and we'll get that work. So when do we get the link? Says Jinx. We could try it now before we go live, because I think it's up. Let's see. Am I in the? Let me see what my settings are. Let's see. Audio settings. I don't even know how to set it up. I'm just looking at the screen, hoping something jumps out at me. Wrong page. Deafen. Turn off microphone. That's not it. Oh, I phone a friend. Amber, are you there? Oh, she hung up on me. I thought it was a friend. Give me just 1 second. Audio, settings, devices. Amber, are you going to talk this time? Hello, Amber. Call failed again. Okay, so the internet's not working. Andrew, we're going to put that on your shoulders so you could fix that. Voice and audio. Found it. Voice and audio. We're going to do... Oh, crap. Amber? My calls are failing every single time. I don't know why. I think the internet's still broken. Output device is going to be Blackmagic Design. There it is. Input device is going to be built-in microphone, so it's going to sound really bad for you, but everyone else can hear. Testing 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. This is what it will sound like if you call me. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is what it will sound like if you call me. Why can I not hear anything? Oh, let's try that again. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is what it will sound like if you call me. Apparently, if you call me, you're not going to be able to hear anything. Trying to call in, but just drops. Try one more time, Amber. I'll answer on the computer. Hey, someone's voice is coming in. Whose voice is here? Amber, is that you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. Are you connected to the international burner phone call? The burner phone, even though you're just one state away?
It is me.
Yes, but I've got a loop. I can hear you again. She can't hear me. Can you hear me? Test 1, 2. Well, maybe.
So we're kind of trying to troubleshoot this at the moment, so I have no idea when this audio is going to come through the live stream. However, I told you at 8:30 when I called you this morning that we were not ready to make this live yet.
When you did
this is why.
When you did that, I heard ready, make this live. That it was chopping. We ready, make this live is what I heard. I didn't hear the are not part. All right, we're going to let that drop. We'll figure out where that is later. I'm going to leave the lounge, and you can just test. All right, so we're not quite ready. All right, in that case, we're just going to go ahead and start our court case for today. Send us the link. I'm going to let Amber post the link once she feels it's ready, and then, of course, I have to figure out how to do it on my end, but that's probably the bigger challenge. All right, let's begin with court as it started. So yes, a little bit of a repeat this morning. We're going to be on channel 2. There's our court. Woot. We get everyone's picture. I'll work on the spice thing as well.
Please rise. Everyone, please be seated. Good morning to all the jurors. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. It was finally beautiful. The weather was terrific this weekend. We're ready to proceed. The witnesses on the stand. The record will show the presence of all the jurors, counsel, and the defendant. And Ms. Lothorpe, whenever you are ready, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Detective.
Good morning, ma'am.
Let's back up a little bit and tell the jurors your function as a detective. How are you different from patrol?
So our function for patrol is we have more resources, more experience. So basically when patrol takes an investigation and they run out of resources and they need us to come in, we don't take over, we assist with their investigation. It's more in-depth training than a patrol officer.
Okay, so that's the qualifications. Let's talk more about the job duties. So you have patrol, they go to a scene of a crime, they're called out for whatever reason, or they observe something, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And then they take the initial reports. They, first of all, safety and all those things happen first, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Assuming we're past that, everyone's safe. They collect statements, correct?
That's correct.
Any evidence at a scene, they protect the crime scene, correct?
That's correct.
I mean, that's a very important role when there's been a shooting, is to protect the crime scene, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
A robbery, it would be important to do the same thing, right?
That's correct, ma'am.
All right, because we want to preserve evidence, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And so it's important to separate witnesses so they don't have a chance to converse together and have their independent thinking, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
All right. And a lot of times, detectives are not at a scene, but they could be called there, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And that's just case by case, availability by availability, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
But everyone that had a hand on it should put a report in along with the main officer that has the case, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
All right. Now you get to, as a detective, get all that information, correct?
I try to get almost everything.
Well, and as a lead detective, you have your hand in observing everything, seeing what everyone said, what witnesses are out there, and then it's your job to start any follow-up that might be needed, correct?
That's correct.
All right, but you can't do that unless you observe everything that's been documented up to that point. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right, and I would think by now, being in all the court hearings that you've been in this case, and being on this case from almost the very beginning, not at the scene initially, but at the beginning, you are familiar with this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, you've heard it all about this case, and I'm sure you'll be glad when it's done, right? All right, you don't have to answer that. So a case starts at a beginning. And the beginning in this case was a call on more than one occasion.
She lost me on that logic.
I'm going to call him Alan. You know him to be Alan too, all right?
Yes.
Okay. Alan called Border Patrol on numerous occasions, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And the calls, other than the recorded voicemail, was not recorded, but statements were made. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And where in the interview process, give me the order of who you interviewed as you started the beginning of working this case. Who's the first person you interviewed?
Well, I gathered information at the office from the sergeants on scene, both Sergeant Rodriguez and Sergeant Flores. Once I got to the scene, right before Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Kelly were brought in, I made some other phone calls with Sergeant Flores, Sergeant Rodriguez, Agent Morcell.
And then who did you interview?
Both
first?
Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Kelly.
In that order?
Yes.
Who else did you interview after that?
After that, the days follows. I interviewed Border Patrol Agent Morcell, Heredia. I was part of the interview with Mr. Wisdom and Mr. Wise. In that order.
Okay. And then I know State did interviews later too, and that they became duplicative in what you've already done, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we on Friday all heard the video recording of Alan's statement to you, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And you know from that interview, and you admitted on Friday, that there was really no admission to committing a crime of murder to anybody, correct? He did not admit or confess.
He admitted to shooting.
Okay. But shooting doesn't necessarily mean it's a crime, does it?
Well, we have a dead body, ma'am.
Yes. But a lot of things are potentially out there to justify why we have a dead body, correct? But he didn't say, I killed him, did he?
No, he didn't.
Okay. Now, matter of fact, we went through my whole dramatic thing that I did on there to show, and you admitted that it would make more sense to step out of the house and look to the threat, which was be to your right as you exit the house, and that would be where your focus would be, and that's where he claimed he shot above their heads, correct?
That's what he's telling me.
Yes.
Okay.
And we also know that if you believe, in your belief, you have no scientific evidence to support this, but it is your belief that that body died right there, right where it was found.
That's correct, ma'am.
And that's where he got shot. That's your statement.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though the medical examiner and the ballistics experts have other theories that could have taken place. So that contradicts that as a fact. But it's just your belief. We'll give it to you as your belief, okay? Is that good? That is your belief.
Well, ma'am, we have a dead body with an injury. The trajectory is consistent with Mr. Kelly's residence.
It's not consistent with the aim that he took. Subjects that ran across his window, is it?
I never believed he shot up, ma'am. He shot at them.
Okay. But it is not consistent with his statement, right?
It's not, ma'am.
Okay. And your belief is something for everyone to consider, but there's other alternatives to your belief. And I've been throwing a few at you, correct?
Well, my investigation, ma'am, what I investigated, what I saw, there is no other shot involved in this. The victim sustained a serious injury from a high-power rifle, an AK-47 rifle, with the trajectory directly from Mr. Kelly's residence.
Okay, so that also contradicts the ballistic experts of the type of gun. So you came into this investigation very focused on wanting to make this about Mr. Kelly being found guilty. Isn't it true?
That is not true, ma'am.
Well, let's take a look at this, how everything unfolded, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because when we talk about alternatives, and there's not a piece of evidence that supports just your theory, because that's what it is. It's a theory unless you have supporting evidence. Were you there at the scene?
No, I wasn't, ma'am.
Okay, so you're not an eyewitness to come up here and tell the jurors that your belief system is accurate, correct?
No, it isn't. But Mr. Kelly made several phone calls, and throughout those phone calls, his story kept changing. It kept changing.
Okay. Let's talk about changing stories. All the 3 witnesses that were out there, besides I'm not talking about the deceased, there are 3 other witnesses and the jurors have only heard from 1. But in your investigation, let's look at it from your investigation. 3 witnesses had different versions. They were inconsistent statements, and I would love to know, what did you do to point the finger at them?
What witnesses, ma'am?
Well, first you have DR, which names changed, but that's how I got to know him by.
Daniel. Gabriel.
Okay.
Okay. I was not part of any of those interviews whatsoever. I was never part of those interviews.
1.
You have Daniel, that he is a individual in a foreign country with a 6th grade education, lost, doesn't know where he's at. 10, 15 minutes later, he's being shot at. He's being shot at with an AK-47, a high-power rifle, and he starts running for his life.
Has it occurred to you that when you're doing illegal activities, that things can happen? So what makes him so innocent in this case?
What illegal activities, ma'am?
Well, how many times has he said he illegally has come across this border and been caught every time?
I don't remember how many times, ma'am.
A good handful, 6, 7 times, whatever we could all recall the testimony.
These are 2 unarmed men, ma'am.
Okay.
Walking by a house, trying to get back home. Doesn't give them the right to them to be shot that they were shot at.
What's not right is the first shot was done while the Kellys were in their house, both of them. And it was reported immediately to Border Patrol. Go ahead, take your time.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
you good?
Yeah.
It was reported to Border Patrol that a shot has been heard and men with guns are running across. So why are the Kellys automatically the liar in the case?
Man, there's a testimony where your client, Mr. Kelly, said that during that first phone call, he said he was informing Jeremy when he was being shot and he was inside his house. That is not possible. His first phone call to Mr. Marcel was outside the residence, and his direct words, I'm being shot at, I'm shooting back. He cannot be shooting inside from his residence, man.
No, but his testimony was he went to the door while his wife got the card, called the number for him, and put Jeremy on the phone as he stood in the hall at the entrance or the exit of his doorway to the back patio, the east patio.
Yes, ma'am.
His testimony was he was standing there, passed the phone back, and that's when he went outside. It just works just fine. What's wrong with that?
That's not possible, man, because he's actually frantic on the phone call and stating I'm being shot at,
Yes.
I'm shooting back.
If you saw 5 people and you knew they had those kind of backpacks on, and you know from all the communications of living out there and talking to the Border Patrol liaisons and the people and the cases that are going on around with the neighbors and the text messages that he got leading up to this.
Ma'am, there's absolutely no evidence of 5 people at the property. Nothing was found, no bundles, no backpacks, no rifles.
Why would they drop it? Why would they drop a bundle?
Because that's what they do, man, to get away.
Not with the merchandise in it, they're not.
Everyone's different, ma'am.
That's right. And what if it was stolen? What if a rip crew shot and one bullet made it to a person before my client steps out the door? We don't even account for that one shot. You don't even have the casing for that one shot. You don't even know what direction it was in. You don't know if they were at the back of the property, if they were in the arroyo that's right behind the property, which would account for the traveling bullet to go from lower to upper because of the elevation. You don't have anything to say that none of that happened. Isn't that correct?
So you're saying, ma'am, that a rip crew was at the Cali residence shooting at the victim? It's not possible, ma'am.
Why is that, sir?
The trajectory of the bullet came from Mr. Kelly. If your statement is true, ma'am, of Rick Group being at the Kelly's house, both Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Kelly wouldn't be here, ma'am. These people are dangerous.
When you're out there, they're dangerous.
Nor is there evidence. There is no evidence of these people ever being at the property. No one exists. There's no 5 boogeymen out there. There is no.
Okay, let me go on one of your theories here.
I think you asked an open-ended question.
Okay.
So let the witness answer the question.
I'll let him.
There is no bundles. There is no rifles. Nothing was found out there. Nothing. Nothing was found out there.
Wow.
So isn't it a lot easier to take his big old tractor, dig a hole, and bury the body than call law enforcement all those times? Why would he do that?
Ask him that question yourself.
No, I'm asking you, sir.
I'm not going to speculate.
Did you see the big tractor out there on his property?
Yes, I did, man, but I'm not going to speculate or guess on what your client might have done, what he could have done, or what was he thinking.
Let's talk about the no bundles, no rifles, no evidence. Let's talk about that.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 3 other people that have fessed up to being there since the beginning of the investigation. Okay? Not only DRR, but Miguel and Ramon, 2 different other additional people that has not come to the courtroom. Okay? But they did go to law enforcement, and they gave you their stories.
Not me.
They gave your department their stories. You got a sheriff interviewing one, and your new detective
I wasn't part of that.
was with him, and then you have one more. I mean, they're all part of your staff, and you're the lead detective. So when I say y'all or you or whatever, you act as a group, correct, in this investigation?
That's correct. We work as a team.
Where is the proof that all 3 of these, DRR, Miguel, and Ramon, where's the proof that they were there? When the only thing you had was their admission to your department that they were. Where's the proof?
I did not partake, ma'am, in any of those interviews.
Sir, I'm speaking to you as the head detective, okay, who knows everything about this case, who has been in every single hearing on this case. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about your hand on the case and your knowledge, okay? Do you have proof? Because you say you'll have no proof of the backpacks and stuff. Do you have proof of the people that you try to put forward, including DRR, who testified that they were there?
Daniel said they were there.
And so did Mr. Kelly say what happened. So why is the testimony and no proof to support his story any better than the proof that you don't have on the other 3 that were there?
Objection argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Do you have proof that DRR was at the scene? Is there surveillance?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How do they escape the scene and not be under the camera?
I cannot testify as to how those cameras work, ma'am.
I didn't ask you to testify how they work.
Exactly. I don't know how they work.
So you have no proof to know, and with their inconsistent statements, their location of where the house was and which direction, and whether the horse died or didn't die, and which way he fell. The victim fell smack on his face is what we have, but he said he saw him fall backwards and watched his eyes roll back. How do you take these inconsistencies, and apply it to say, I'm going to disregard their inconsistencies, but I won't do it with Mr. Kelly?
Mr. Kelly, ma'am, again, changed his stories at least 5 times from the first phone call to the last phone call.
Let me tell you that DRR has also changed his stories every single time. There's been different facts added based on facts that's come out in hearings. Have you not noticed that? What are you looking at the state?
I'm not looking at the state. Okay. I'm trying to focus.
Okay, yes, sir.
Can you repeat it again, please?
Why are you looking at the
Why is the changing of stories for DRR okay? He has added and changed some of his stories based on the way testimony has gone in different hearings.
I was here during DRR's testimony, ma'am.
And that was different from his very first time he testified.
You have to let the witness.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Apologize.
So I was here, ma'am, during DRR's testimony. Okay? I saw what he testified. If you want me to testify as to what's here in court, ma'am, I will gladly do so, ma'am.
I just want you to say that you agree his story did change.
Objection, Your Honor. Improper impeachment of this witness with a different witness.
That objection's overruled.
Can you repeat it again, ma'am?
I'm just trying to get you to acknowledge that his story changed or grew since his very first time he gave a statement.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And so that's my point. Why is Mr. Kelly, why is Alan's statement any less or more reliable than DRR, who's changed it?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained. It's a good argument. It's for the jury to decide. You're welcome to argue that in closing argument. But it's argumentative.
But you're putting your belief that Mr. Kelly is the guilty one because he changed his story, and I'm just asking you to look at your investigation. Is your investigation without fault elsewhere with the other witnesses?
Ma'am, my investigation and my interviews with Mr. Kelly, that's what I determined. His stories were inconsistent from the beginning.
Well, let's talk why they were inconsistent from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
So after everything happened and the contact is made with Border Patrol, Marcel, a statement was made to your call center because Marcel called his supervisors, maybe 1 or 2, we'll learn more about it maybe, and then one of the supervisors called the call center, not Jeremy. and we got an inconsistent statement conveyed to the call center. The statement, if you recall, was saying that Allen admitted to shooting, and that wasn't it. That's not the statement, was it? Are we there? We've all heard about it already. But this is where it started.
Yes.
And do you have water? You have what you need?
I'm good. Go ahead, man.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
It's a little bit.
Let's go on the headset. Could you bring that, Jose? Could you bring that
Now
headset
we get to
over the
listen.
witness?
We get to listen. Here we go. We want to hear what's happening here. The witness gets a headset. The judge wants to talk.
Everybody on?
Everybody on.
Is the witness all right? Or do you need a break? I can't hear you. Okay. Keep that headset. We're good. We're good to go. Thank you. Thank
That
you.
was it. He
You
was
can
just asking
continue
if
with
the
your
witness was
cross-examination.
okay. Is the witness all right, or does he need a break?
We were talking about the inaccurate statement that Mr. Kelly admitted to shooting someone when that's not what he said, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so everything starts from there. I'm sure you've read some of the officers in your department's statements, and some of them noted that they came into this call believing that Mr. Kelly already admitted to shooting him, correct?
Believe so.
Yeah. I mean, for them to note it is confirmation that they heard dispatch, the call center somehow communicate to them that the suspect has admitted to shooting. So now we got everyone in the mindset that the homeowner, the rancher, said that he had struck this person that is now laying dead in his property. That sure sets the tone for the investigation. Would you agree?
Are you reading off the dispatch logs, man?
Not reading yet off of anything, just going on recall.
Okay, so can you repeat the question for me again?
Yes, sir. So the tone has been set by dispatch conveying inaccurate information that she must, had received from a supervisor at the Border Patrol.
Yes.
Okay. That sets the tone to what everyone is doing and how they're handling it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the real statement was something may have been struck earlier, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And so it was not a confession. And it makes sense when you know about both earlier call and later call, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, think about it. Giving him the benefit of doubt for a second. The police, law enforcement, sheriffs, Border Patrol had walked around a lot of their property and walked around the location where the body's later found. So there's a presumption. When was that body there? Was it there the whole time and law enforcement missed it? That could be one thought, right?
Yes, ma'am, but you gotta understand too, during this time, the first contact with Mr. Kelly, he omitted ever shooting his AK-47. He never mentioned to anyone about that AK-47, which is a very important fact in this case. Actually, he didn't even admit to me 30 minutes into our interview.
Okay, so I know that wasn't part of my question. That was non-responsive to my question, but I'm going to stop you there on your point, okay?
Just state here.
Rather than trying to get you to not include that statement, I'm going to address your statement. Who is trained in interviewing?
All of us, ma'am. We all get trained.
Law enforcement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I ask you...
Crazy week in Vegas, that training.
Wasn't him calling and telling him a shot was heard and I'm going out to shoot, wasn't that an admission of what he might have to do to defend himself? Did he not tell someone?
Yes.
Okay.
They mix
Now,
up omission
going
and
from there,
admission in here.
every
It drives
police
me
officer
nuts.
that walks in the door is not giving a full sit down and tell me every single thing that happened. Because if they did, why didn't they do a walkthrough and say, show me?
I was not there, ma'am.
You weren't.
I did not partake. Whatever these officers did, ma'am, I can't control what they did. Trust, if I would have been there, I would have walked.
So why was the hurry to arrest someone without any evidence? Why didn't you say, let's go back to the scene and I want you to show me what happened with you? Or the trained sergeant that was there, who is a supervisor to you, correct?
Yes.
Sergeants outrank a detective, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Why didn't they bother to say, Mr. Kelly, show me what happened. Take me through it.
I can't answer that question, ma'am. I don't know why they didn't do that.
That's a poor investigation that not only it didn't happen at the time, but it didn't happen once you took over.
His stories changed, man, when I did his interview more than one time.
Well, it sure helps when someone gives you a visual and say, come, let me show you. I walked out this door. I already heard a shot. I was in the kitchen, just like everyone got to see the scene here. The jurors got to go out there. Started from the beginning, the kitchen, the view outside. Could someone see something more than that? Is it possible they saw 5 people? Is it possible that Wanda could have just saw 2 and heard her husband say there were 5?
Possible, man, but there's...
Okay, but the walkthrough would be helpful. What did you do when you stepped out? Where were you when you stepped out? How did you hold your rifle when you stepped out? At least give him a chance to explain his story since he was being so cooperative with you. Isn't that true? You could have done that.
I could have done that, man.
Okay.
Yes, I could. I agree with you.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, when it's clear that the way he stood later reflects the casings, maybe you all would have found the casings a lot sooner if you know where he was standing. True?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and if the position makes sense, then you could test that position. But your positioning of the casings is well, let's just say if they're accurately placed on the ground for your photos. And we know where a dead body is. That's a gimme too. I mean, that's a defined location. But what we don't have is where Mr. Kelly was standing when he shot, and all you had to do was say, show me, any one of your department, to see if it makes sense with the evidence. He wouldn't have known better. You know, you let them talk until they're done talking and see if it squares up or not. But no one did that, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And unfortunately for you and the rest of the department, and the what I call the telephone mishap, which means when you were young and you told a secret and told another person, it gets changed. The stories get changed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And unfortunately, we'll figure out later how that might have happened, but it did. And so now, unfairly to your department, you all are out there with almost blinded to the fact that he confessed. So isn't it true? It could affect your investigation.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's go on with how things don't get conveyed correctly. We were looking to the arrest booking form. I'm going to repost it. It's already been admitted. It states 2. May I, Judge?
Yes.
It's kind of where we were on Friday.
I don't think that thing's on. I don't see a light. There you go. All right.
So, in a previous hearing, you denied doing this, but ultimately, you realized you did do this narrative. You wrote that narrative, correct?
Yes, after Ms. Larkin presented this during our original PH, I did ownership. I did tell her, but I was not lying about it. I completely forgot about me assisting our sergeants filling out the narratives during this portion of the booking form. Not only was I taking phone calls, typing up a search warrant, and multiple things, and I completely forgot that I did the narratives. There was no lie. I did not misinterpret this booking form at all. I took responsibility for not realizing that I did the narrative. It wasn't a lie. It was not done intentional, and I took responsibility for that to Ms. Larkin during her PH.
Okay, so I think what you're saying is you're admitting that you misrepresented writing this, but later changed it.
I didn't say that. I said I did not misrepresent this booking form at all. I just completely forgot that I requested assistance from the sergeants to book them in while I did everything else. I was doing finish up the interviews. I was preparing evidence to go out to the scene. I was, finishing up, preparing the search warrant on the phone with the judge to get the search warrant granted. I did not lie or intentionally say that I didn't do this.
Okay.
I owned up to it, and I told Ms. Larkin that I owned up to it. I did not lie about it.
He's listening to things he should do every day for his job.
Even though that was under sworn testimony in a hearing.
So
Yes, I
busy.
understand that.
Okay. And you were under oath, and then ultimately you realized you did.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you're saying, you're admitting that you wrote this part.
The narrative part, ma'am, yes.
Yes, okay. Now, my problem with this is that you've already interviewed Mr. Kelly at this time, correct?
Yes, this was after the interview.
Okay. So the first part I have a problem is that you said he was chasing undocumented foreign nationals. Okay, he never said he was chasing them. Okay, and you weren't there to see him chasing. And so even though you heard that he wasn't chasing them, he did head out towards his barn. He did observe that he had no signs of them through the Aurora, believe that that's might have been their escape route. And he passed that location, because we know that was true because he was found up there by the water pump, which is just off of the barn.
That's good.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Now, you got men running around with guns in his version.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he has property.
Yes, ma'am.
He has cows.
Yes, ma'am.
And they need to stay in his property. And so people on his property could very well have cut his fence line, correct?
That's what he's testified to. I mean, told me to.
Yeah, and that happens quite a bit. The Border Patrol comes back and tries to help them out and fix their fence lines and stuff with it, right?
When it's Border Patrol, they actually cuts the fence, yeah.
Well, I think they're very gracious. But he has a right to observe what's going on his property, correct?
Of course, ma'am, it's his property.
And he has a right to be armed in the great state of Arizona, correct?
That's 100% correct, ma'am.
Okay. And but there's nowhere that he told you he was chasing them. He didn't say that, correct? It's just a yes or no.
No, ma'am.
No, he didn't, or no, he did?
No, he didn't tell me about chasing, but when speaking to Marcel, he said he was walking towards them.
And then you said Mr. Kelly was interviewed and admitted to shooting at, I'll let you read the rest of the sentence, make sure I get your writing correct. Last line, was shooting at?
Shooting at, I believe, with male subjects.
Male subjects, okay. Well, yes, he did admit to raising his gun in the air to scare him away. He took a chance that he could have been killed, assuming that the person pointed a gun at him, and you admitted you wouldn't have done that. You would have shot him, right?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. And then what's the rest of the sentence say? The next sentence, last one.
A deceased male subject was discovered on his property.
Okay. So even though it's sort of true that he admitted to shooting his gun at over male subjects, you didn't write over male subjects, correct?
Yes.
You made this sound like an admission of guilt when he didn't give you that. And yet you started the storyline after it already being misrepresented by the Border Patrol, who conveyed it through the dispatch. But now, and you all heard that, but now had a chance to interview him, and he's never admitted and denied telling Jeremy that. Now, isn't that true so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Jeremy, you interviewed before or after you wrote this?
I interviewed him, actually, I talked to him before, and before I did, then I interviewed him at a later date.
So you know his statement was different than what was conveyed, that something may have been struck earlier was the only statement that Jeremy actually noted and put in his police reports too, correct?
That's after the fact when I interviewed him, when he presented me those, but when the initial phone call, he told me he had struck something.
No, come on. So now Agent Marcel is lying on the stand to these jurors?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay. I mean, he was very forthright.
Yes, ma'am.
He cooperated with you as a different agency.
Yes, ma'am.
He provided you his report at some point in time. You know, you have a means of correcting something and making a report to reflect the corrections. I've seen some coming from your department, correct? How do you make a correction to something?
Like on a report?
Yes.
Before, you want me to explain how we do the corrections?
Yeah, if there's just a random correction that needs to be made.
So in CID, in their criminal detectives, we do everything on Word before it's submitted into Spillman. Once we correct it, we download it into Spillman, which is the actual reports you were provided with.
And what do you call those corrected reports?
Just corrections, ma'am.
Okay, so it's like a supplement?
Well, there's the main reports, and then there's supplements. In this case, I think I've done over 30 supplementary reports in this case myself.
And what about corrected reports? You call them the same thing?
We do supplemental reports. We document that on this supplement. I just noted this and I discovered it was wrong. So this is another supplement correcting this. We don't go back and correct it. We do another supplement.
Right. Okay, good. That's where I was leading to. You don't change what was already, even though there's a mistake on a report. You supplement and show the correction through that additional report, correct?
Yes, that's how we've been trained. And
did you ever do a supplemental report stating what Mr. Kelly really did say? Something may have been struck earlier?
It's on the interview with Mr. Marcel.
No, but did you and your sheriff's department, because there's a lot of contradictory statements that he confessed. So all the officers heard it and made a note of it. A lot of them made a note of it in their report.
So you're asking me if I did another report regarding that? No,
yes,
I didn't.
Okay. So we get this report. When do you get a warrant, a search warrant, for example?
What's that?
When you get a search warrant.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you go about getting it?
We get a probable cause statement.
Okay.
It's called an affidavit of probable cause statement.
And what is an affidavit?
It's a document that you document what you're looking for, the facts, and everything you gather to submit it for the actual search warrant.
An affidavit is a sworn statement, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Do you literally raise your hand before someone and swear that this information you're providing is truthful?
Both in person or in telephone, we still raise our hand.
Okay. So if you went to Judge Fink and said, sir, I need a search warrant, which you guys have done on this case, correct?
Yeah, we've done plenty of search warrants.
Okay. And you raised your hand if you were in person or the other way, if you were doing it by some other telephonic means, you are swearing the information is truthful, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, with the actual warrant to be signed by the judge to allow you to do this search, usually the affidavit is accompanied by it so the judge can read your probable cause basis, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm going to show you some stuff for you to look over. I picked one of your search warrants, and I believe this is your AT&T search warrant, okay? And I'm going to just let you review it first. I haven't marked it. I'll go ahead and get it marked, okay? May I?
Do you have a sub number, counsel?
Yeah. I'm going to show it to the state first. As you go through your affidavit, I did obviously highlight a few things. I'll let you just review it and just let me know when you're ready.
Ms. Lorthorpe, I remember this document.
Thank you, sir. Let me know if you need it back.
I probably will, ma'am. I did a lot of supplements in this case.
You did a lot of search warrants and different things, and I know. So, but I'm going to bring your attention to your affidavit because that was your sworn statement, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does the word affiant mean?
Affiant. Me.
Huh?
Affiant. Me.
Okay, okay, go ahead. What does it mean?
It's me. The person sworn.
Not the affiant.
Thank you. Sorry to cut you off.
He corrected her wrong.
So You told, in your affidavit, you said you then informed George, Mr. Kelly, of the statement he provided to USBP agents, where he informed USBP agents that he needed for them and the sheriff's office to respond due to him striking something. Okay, and you're portraying that statement in your sworn statement to go get a search warrant.
That's what I document.
You also, above that, said that you call it affiant. I'll call it the way you call it. Okay?
It's me.
It's fine. So you, detective, learned from George that he heard what he believed to be a gunshot and began running after the male subjects.
Shaggy defense
He didn't
is
tell
when
you
the
that, did
witness says, it wasn't me, I wasn't there.
It was Agent Marcel.
Well, you said you heard from George. You wrote to the judge in your statement to get this search warrant.
I didn't partake.
That you learned from George. You didn't say Agent Marcel.
I understand what you said, ma'am.
Okay.
That's true.
Thank you. And on another page, that in this paragraph, at the end of this paragraph, you then learned from Agent Marcel that he had made contact with George at about 17:35 hours and proceeded to tell him that he needed for him to respond along with the sheriff deputies because he had struck something. Okay? He never said he struck anything. He's shooting in the air. So, once again, even if that indirectly came from Marcel in your belief because of the mess up through the call center, you now know the truth that that's not what Marcel said. Correct?
That's correct.
And this affidavit, search warrant, was signed by the Honorable Cartwright on the 7th day of June of 2023 at 13:17 hours.
I saw that, ma'am, yes.
Okay. You know the story by now, and yet the story keeps going on and getting misrepresented. Correct?
That's what I documented.
Thank you. And we kind of heard a little bit more about the medical examiner getting information about the case, which the narrative for the medical examiner wasn't accurate. Correct? And you didn't write it, though.
You're talking about the OME report?
Yes. The narrative on the ME's report.
I had nothing, I didn't partake on the OME filling out the form.
No. But when you are the lead investigator, detective on the case, and you see inaccurate information, you could supplement and stop that information. But you didn't, did you?
Because I wasn't there, ma'am. I never saw the OME form and did not partake anything with the body until I attended the autopsy. I never saw that OME form.
I know.
Usually on all my cases,
we got 4 denials
not in prior
in one
ones,
sentence.
I take full responsibility of the OME because I know how important that form is. But I did not partake in this. I didn't see the OME form. I didn't see who wrote the OME form. I was not there.
Wow. There goes the counter. Burn it up.
So we get a medical examiner form, and I'm holding up AAA defense evidence, and in it there was a narrative that the medical examiner relied on. And I'm going to refresh the location of this to you, show you this piece of evidence.
Sorry. This one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and review it and tell me, is that completely the truth as to what we know now?
Like I said, ma'am, I was here. I heard it. I'm reading it right now. I didn't have nothing to do with this narrative.
Okay.
I didn't write
You
it.
didn't fix it.
This had already been submitted by the time I got to it. So whenever the coroner picks up the body, the OME goes with the body. So I didn't partake in none of that. So
this false narrative
I
continues.
didn't realize the count was this high.
Unfortunately, it could have been conveyed down to all the other experts. Isn't that possible?
Possible.
And when people go into a situation believing a certain thing has happened, that could affect them too on how they set up their expertise, whether it's ballistics or DNA or whatever, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So in this narrative, we have, once again, the homeowner indicated that the group was running parallel at the property and had long rifles on their possession. That part fits Mr. Kelly's story, correct?
Yes.
He then allegedly pursued the group and engaged them. Well, I don't know about pursuing it, but let's give that a benefit of the doubt for a second. Firing one shot from his AK-47. That's not true. That's the one shot that he heard before he exited his house. So the information isn't accurate, right?
I did not write that, ma'am.
I understand. Your in-training detective gave this narrative, correct?
I don't know. I wasn't there when he gave it.
But Detective Barbos is responsible. His name is on here, that the form completed by Deputy Barba.
I can't remember what his testimony was regarding this, man, but I don't know. I don't know if he actually wrote it or if his name is on there. It's on there, then.
Well, it just says additional information was obtained via by PCOME. What's that?
PCOME, Pima County Office of Medical.
Yep. Preliminary death form completed by Deputy Barba.
Okay, so it must have been him then.
So there was something completed, some form that they use internally, maybe at the medical examiner's office, right?
Should we
Sounds
add
like
his? Should we
It
add
sounds
his?
like it.
I don't know.
That we submit with the body.
Okay.
I'm going to add. I
Where's
don't know
that
because
for?
we got one of those.
We have it. It's provided by the OME. We have it on our shared server in our computers. So whenever the regular OME form, when a body dies, it's an OME form. So that form is filled out by anyone can fill that form in the law enforcement, whoever's there is on scene. It's just an OME, generic OME form provided by Pima County Office. It was provided. I've been filling that form out my 17 years. So it's in a shared server, hasn't changed. Some deputies like to write it in, some deputies like to type it in. As soon as the OME picks up, or the funeral home here in our county picks up the body, that form goes with them. Then it's faxed to the OME too, because they won't take the body without that form. So I don't know if you have that form.
So every time he says, I don't know,
That form we can tell you exactly who filled that, the OME form.
It wasn't me. I wasn't
Have
there.
you seen it?
I haven't seen it, man. Like I said, I didn't partake in any of that. The only time I made contact with the body was at the autopsy. That's the first time I made contact with the body.
Well, if you have a detective that's still waiting to go to detective school and can't take this case on its own because he hasn't had all the proper training yet, that means he's under your wing, I would assume, for guidance on how to handle this case. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. But like I said, if you have that form, I can tell you exactly who filled that OME form.
I don't think I have it, so I don't know.
So, like I said, it's an OME form. So if I see that form, because we put our initials on it, whoever filled out the form. So I don't know when or where did Detective Barba fill this form out. I need to see that form. I don't have it in front of me.
So, and I don't believe I have it. Maybe the state's looking for it, but that's up to them whether they are or not. But I don't have it. But this investigator narrative was in the middle of the medical examiner form or report, and this is their full report because it includes all their findings, photos, and everything. And this paragraph is nestled right in the middle of their forms, in their report, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and they identified Deputy Barba as supplying it. I guess my concern is, I mean, you can't be everywhere 24/7, but where does this stop with this story?
I don't know, ma'am. Like I said, if you have that form, I can put some light into this issue regarding this narrative on the OME form too.
Well, maybe if you had sent out a supplemental narrative and said that part wasn't true, maybe others would get a copy of it and see it. I'm just saying is just the actions that are being taken by different parts of your department are still going on the presumption that he confessed and chased these people down. So here we have an investigation that's been slanted because of this false information from the beginning. Is that possible?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let's look at all the evidence that you have worked on to show and support or not support your version of the case, okay? We have you guys doing DNA, correct?
Yes.
And if I recall right from testimony, all of the evidence, all of Mr. Kelly's clothing that was selected, no DNA was found on it that would have been the victims, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And matter of fact, you didn't put him in the right clothing. He had I believe you said the outer layer was a blue shirt, but he had a sweatshirt on and a vest that was out over the blue shirt. So just so it doesn't confuse the jurors. Do you remember that clothing now?
I do remember the clothing, ma'am.
Okay. Do you remember a let's see here, the vest, I believe, was under his jacket?
Vest.
Huh?
A puffer vest.
Yes. And what color was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember, ma'am.
Your Honor, just for clarification, we're referring to the defendant?
Yes.
Jory Green, congratulations. 42 years and wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Is defense GG admitted yet?
So GG was not admitted, but the court did order it to be in the court file. Oh, wait, GG? I was reading off of GG, I apologize. That has not been.
Thank you. I'll tender this defense GG to the state to review. And I will be shown the witness.
There's going to be no objection, Your Honor, if she moves to admit.
There's a jury that's... You need a break?
No.
Okay. Okay, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I didn't see it before.
A note from a juror being passed up. Headsets.
You can use this one, ma'am.
All right, this is from juror number 5, and it just says, booking form, Mr. Kelly has Mrs. Kelly's social security number on that. Shouldn't that be blocked out? Mark this juror number 5.
Juror number 5 says, the booking form has Mr. Kelly's social security number showing. Shouldn't that be blacked out? That was the question from the juror. This is a juror who is a true crime fan. It's like, hey, you guys, you're doing it wrong. Oh, man. So we're going to turn it down a little bit. That's...
Are you done with that exhibit? All right, thanks. Then go back on that.
Okay. That was funny.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, guys, you didn't do your job.
I'll get it. I'll be up there in a minute.
We caught that and cut the screen away when they showed that on ours.
Can you identify these photos that has been marked as defense GG?
Yes, ma'am. Those are Mr. Kelly's wardrobe.
Okay, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe. 4 photos of this in this exhibit?
Yes, ma'am.
And they all accurately depict his clothing upon arrest and taking his clothing?
Yes. Can I see him again, ma'am? Just real quick.
Yes, they're all accurate. Can I look at the pictures again? Usually you look at the pictures first.
As far as I can remember, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to enter into evidence defense GG.
No objection.
Permission to publish?
Excuse me, GG is admitted, yes.
I think that's juror number 5. So we're going to listen to see if the juror number 5 is the same one, Liam, who asked the question about the CSI. That is the funniest question right at the end of this stream, or at the beginning of the next stream. It's absolutely hilarious. Basically saying, during jury selection, we were told not to expect CSI level work from the detective. Basically, you guys said he was an amateur. We see why now. Soul Glow.
Okay,
Yes,
so
she does. I don't think she shares it. You can send it to me. I'll
That's
forward
correct.
it to her.
Yes, ma'am.
And this appears to be that blue shirt that you mentioned was the out, that you agreed with the state that it was the outer layer clothing, correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
We're going to get to jury questions.
In reality, he
We're leading
had
up to that.
on both this sweatshirt and this vest on him also, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
And that did cover up the blue shirt, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to bring correction, just to publish the rest for everyone to see what's there. You can see undergarments, watch, the gloves,
mdrecoveryaddicts@gmail.com.
Like his back pocket.
I can't remember when he came in where he had him on.
He wasn't wearing them, was he?
I don't believe so.
I can't remember. I'm not gonna tag him on the shaggy defense for that one. That's a legitimate. I can't remember.
And that last one was the first photo. This is the second photo. We saw the third. And we go to the fourth. At this point in time, I'm assuming he's in jail clothes, correct?
I believe so.
All right. Sounds like you're moving into another area. We'll take our mid-morning recess. We started a little late this morning, so I'm going to keep the recess to 15 minutes. About 10 o'clock, we'll be back at 10:15. I'll excuse the jury, and I'll stay here with counsel.
Well, the jury goes out on the Top Mark Media channel. We've started the live stream. We're just waiting. We only see the placeholder for the court feed right now. The court has not started their feed from the Daybell case, but we're just showing the countdown to show that they were supposed to be on at 10. They are not on yet. It's typical they start a few minutes before court and have a little banner on screen that says court's going to start soon, something like that. But that'll be starting in just a moment for those who are watching over on Top Mark Media, the YouTube channel.
All right, the jury's absent. You can be seated. Counsel, when we were in chambers this morning and we met with the two jurors and discussed with them their issues concerning continuing to serve on this jury, and then we discussed, for time management purposes, how much time remained. I just want to make sure, just for time management purposes, counsel, do you still anticipate being with this witness consistent with the estimate you gave us this morning?
Yes, my estimate was the morning, and
Right.
I feel like we're not there yet. So.
No, we aren't. I'm just checking just to make sure we're still on track. Just checking for time management purposes to make sure we're still on the estimation that we gave to the jurors.
I'm trying to be as considerate as possible, considering he had the issue that was brought to us, and so I am moving quickly through everything.
All right, you do what you need to do. I'm just trying to keep track of the time for my own purposes. All right? Very well. We'll be in recess until 10:15.
So we're going to fast forward through this. We're already watching a little bit faster. We've got a brief recess. We're catching up through this morning's live stream. Then we'll be watching this afternoon at actual speed, or yesterday afternoon at actual speed, including the jury questions, which is how it basically starts out. So it's right about the transition the jury questions come in. Let's see, right here. Bingo. Give us just a minute. Turn down the spice meter because during the break,
Please have a seat.
Calm down a bit. Up to 24 on the shaggy defense for this witness. Every time he says, I don't know, I wasn't there, I did not partake, it wasn't me, we're adding that. If he just says, I can't remember, we're going to let that slide. But we're going to have an earworm. It wasn't me in your ear by the end of today.
All right. You can bring it, jury.
For those that were with us yesterday, you'll know that this counter goes up considerably during jury questions. Okay, it looks like our Daybell court has at least got a feed, so we'll take that full screen. As always, if my mods over there can let me know once audio begins, make sure we have a good feed from that in a few minutes. That would be great. We're repeating yesterday morning. We're halfway through yesterday morning, and then we're going to watch what is new to us from yesterday afternoon. Yesterday, we did not have the spice meter, and we obviously did not have the shaggy defense counter. Both of those are new for us today, so we'll see how high they go. It gets hot. We know it gets hot. Can I just say I love Black Magic Design as a company. Yesterday they sent an update for my HyperDeck recorder, which records all my feeds. They updated the technology inside it and the functionality. It's like buying.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of all the jurors, counsel, and defendant. Witnesses on the stand. Counsel, you
4
can
years
continue
later,
with
it
cross-examination.
becomes a new car. That's what they just did. They just gave me all sorts of features that I need. It's incredible.
I need to turn my speaker off. That we left off starting to talk about DNA. And we determined that there was no DNA, including the defendant's gloves. What else was tested? Do you recall off the top of your head?
I don't recall, ma'am. I'd look to see the report if possible, but I don't recall.
There was nothing supporting any DNA, like any blood or any DNA from the victim on the defendant, on Alan. And then they checked the clothing on the Gabriel, the victim, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the backpack just seems to be excluded from all testing on the case. But we did have a patch from his jacket that was taken away from any blood on the jacket, and there appeared to be a possible second contributor, but couldn't determine who, correct? Did you hear that part?
Yes, ma'am, I remember.
Why didn't you collect some of the other DNA from and voluntarily ask if, DRR would have given some of his DNA since he put himself at the scene?
I have no answer for that, ma'am.
Well, if he fought you heavily, maybe he has a different role at the scene if he was there. I mean, what if he took the items and he's trying to point the finger at Alan so he's not in trouble with whoever supplied him with these items?
What items, ma'am?
Well, illegal things that would be leading to money.
Well, there's no evidence of anything like that found on the property, ma'am. No backpacks, no bundles.
Would you leave a gun behind? Or as a suspect, would you, if you're stealing, guns have value, correct? Guns get stolen, correct?
Yeah, they get stolen.
And they have value, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's a crime to bring guns from America into Mexico.
Is it illegal?
Yes.
To export firearms from the U.S. to Mexico?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So why would you show it? Why would you leave it if it has value, right? These are things you had to think about, correct?
It's a lot of circumstances to that, ma'am, if why it wasn't or left behind or taken.
Okay, now let's say in that fanny pack where half of it is empty is a lot of money for transporting someone over to America. Like $2,500 and 20s or hundreds or whatever. But that wad sits in the fanny pack. Do you think if you were stealing from someone that you would leave that behind?
You're asking me to guess on that, ma'am, so I don't know if there was money or not, but I'm not going to guess on that.
But you are a detective that can handle a robbery case too, aren't you?
A robbery case?
Yes.
I've taken robbery cases.
Okay. And these are questions that you would say, or could have said, are unanswered. Let me explore it in my investigation. Isn't that possible?
Yeah, ma'am, but there's no absolute evidence of a struggle or a robbery that ensued where that backpack and fanny pack were found.
Sir, you talked about no evidence of a struggle. We got a dead man, correct?
With a shot.
And SS admitted. Defense.
Yes.
Thank you. Permission to republish?
Yes.
To me, and I want to know to you, does this picture not cry out some sort of foul play?
What foul play, ma'am? It's a dead body facing down.
Let's take a look at that backpack, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Backpack, you could fall down 300 times and it will stay on your back. This backpack is pulled up over his head, it's unzipped, and a fanny pack lies on the side where it's not normally carried. Does that not cry out foul play, possible robbery?
No, ma'am.
What about the fact that the buckle was broken? So, since we've seen photos that Gabriel has been seen with a fanny pack across his chest. Do you remember that photo?
I vaguely remember it, yes.
It was about a week before.
Yes, ma'am.
Shortly before this incident.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You put your most valuables possibly in there. Possible, right?
Possible?
Okay. So money, drugs, things that might have value, ID, whatever it might be in that fanny pack, correct?
Possible?
Now, assuming for a second it's still there when this happens, assuming that someone pulled it from underneath him, like he's laying flat down like we found him, and the strap, sir, goes across the chest where the wound is, collecting some blood, which we saw the photo, the fanny pack on the strap had blood. Do you remember that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So if you pull it across the wound and you collected a little blood, unzipped it like it was spent, and look inside of it, and half of the contents is gone, it appears. Isn't that a possible? And this is SS. It's a minute, correct? Seems kind of weird that whatever this item is the only thing that's in this area.
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Overruled.
Does it not seem a little strange to you that something could be missing from this pouch?
No strange at all, ma'am. We don't know what he had in there. All I found was food.
But sir, a good detective is going to look at these clothes and see where they might take you. And I want to know, did you allow this to take you anywhere to possibly investigate? Did you ask for DNA from DRR?
No, ma'am, I didn't ask any DNA from DRR.
So DNA is not conclusive in any way to show Alan's guilt, correct? Are we in agreement with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's look at fingerprints, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Did fingerprints reveal anything that would show Alan's guilt in this case?
There's no fingerprints found.
Okay, so the answer is no, correct?
That's correct.
Let's talk about gunshot residue. Again, I made a point earlier with that testimony to show the biggest area on the back, and since this is the side and the back of the entrance, the biggest area was covered by a backpack and it wasn't tested, correct?
The backpack wasn't tested.
Right. Instead, we did the shirt, I believe, or the jacket, underneath the backpack, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, was there any evidence, one way or the other, of the gunshot residue? How long did it take you to run that test before you did?
I wasn't a part of that, ma'am.
But it was, to initiate, to get an expert, when was that inquired? 6 months later? A few months later?
I would like to see the report. I didn't take part of that. That was Detective Barber that assisted me with the gunshot residue test kit, if you would call it. I don't remember.
Yeah, but you're the lead detective. I'm going to keep reminding you of that, correct?
I understand that clearly, ma'am.
And he was learning, and he probably was going through you with your approval on that, correct?
This was requested by the county attorney's office, ma'am, but like I said, he assisted me in a lot of things which I wasn't there with him. Detective Barba, his years on patrol, he's a real good cop, a real good detective. He's still learning. Yes, he is, but I didn't partake in that. So
no, but your teachings is helping to make him hopefully a better detective, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how to handle a murder case. You've had one at least before, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
And he really hasn't been a detective on any case at this point in time because he was in training, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, so your guidance on what to do in the case would come from you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're running with this investigation now.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. You're correct.
You might have higher powers, but it's your baby. It's your case.
That's correct.
Okay. And the results of it will come through you. You will take the time to look at it because you know everything about this case. You know what's happening on this case.
29 right now.
Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's the job of a lead detective, correct?
30.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there's that let's see if I can find it real quick. That mystery tree. The tree that was located with a broken branch with animal hair below it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so initially, no one thought much of it. But we did hear a little testimony that maybe someone suggested you check on it. But we're half a year later, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Absolutely. All right, and I've selected a few of the photos taken in relationship to the tree that was tested a half a year later. Can you identify all these photos?
I wasn't there when these were taken.
I think I need to mark them. Sorry, no, they're marked. This would be a defense UU. But you've seen this.
Briefly, yes.
Okay. And so can you identify that as just trying to go back to the tree and get some photos and collect it, and then it was sent off for testing, correct?
That's what the picture's depicting, but like I said, I wasn't there.
I understand. I'm going to ask you a question about it, but this, you've seen these photos, right?
Yes, briefly, yes.
And this would show that event, them trying to get so they got a search warrant, they went back to Mr. Kelly's ranch and took a piece off of the tree, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
And this tree was tested, right?
Believe so, yes.
And no evidence was found on this tree, correct?
That's correct.
Permission to enter into evidence for defense UU.
Well, since the witness, we can't lay proper foundation, but I think he already testified that they look accurate, no objection.
UU is admitted.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
I understand you weren't there, but I would like to make a point about these photos, okay? Can you see the first one?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Yes.
These are all stapled together. And I'm going to go down to the second one. Is that upside down? I'm going to the third one. Now the fourth photo. Fifth photo. Back to looking at the tree with the measuring. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you all this is because do you see them properly measuring the locations of the evidence from not only for identification purposes, but later for distances also?
That's what the pictures are showing, yes.
Nowhere with the spent casings did anyone take the time, isn't it true, and measure where each casing was in location to fixed objects.
We did not measure, we just labeled with placards.
The proper way in any reconstruction of something, whether it's an accident or evidence, is to do exactly what was done on this tree to the other evidence. Correct?
Like
the proper way.
Like I said, that day we just located them, photographed them, and...
Wait, sorry.
No, it's okay. I understand your question of the label, the measuring.
Yes.
I understand.
And I get it's not your job initially. It was crime scene's job initially, correct? Correct?
CID?
CID, however you call it in your department.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And the reasoning is because you had to put the casings back down on another time to help with the reconstruction. I mean, or any other reason you might need to go back and do it, and it's not even documented, correct?
I was not part of that, man.
Okay, but it is true.
I don't know, man. I was not part of that.
But you saw the photos.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't see one measured out like you did in this grouping here.
You're talking about...
I'm sorry.
Ma'am,
Let me refer it to UU, defense UU, for the record.
I didn't see any casings on there. That's what you're asking me.
No tape measuring where the
no,
casings were in relationship to the different fixtures of the patio.
No, ma'am.
So to accurately relay down, it's somewhat of a guess, just a guess, by eyesight, an estimate, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So the tree didn't offer any help. Let's talk about the shooting pattern. We sent this out to an expert, and he took the gun, a rifle of Mr. Kelly's, and shot to say it was in working order, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which no one's denying the casings on the ground were the ones that were used to shoot over the head of the 5 subjects. That hasn't been an issue in this case, has it?
Just for clarification, she referred to an expert. We have 2 firearm experts in this case. So which one is she referring to?
I haven't got into the question yet. But we had a shooting pattern expert who shot and determined the pattern of the casings, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that assist in any way in proving the guilt of my client?
Just the ejection pattern, ma'am. That was what's done, the ejection pattern.
But we're measuring it up against something that didn't get measured, correct?
I wasn't there, ma'am.
No, it's just a yes or no. You know, is there a photo of it being measured?
No.
Okay. So it's a hypothetical that there could have been some other testing that was not ordered by your department or whoever had the authority to the angle of the fire testing wasn't done. Okay? And do you remember that part of the testimony?
I believe so, yes.
But yet we know in this case the rifle was held up, and he even gave 100 yards up over their head is what he gave. And since we didn't do a walkthrough to have him show you how that gun was being held, maybe enough of a guess could have been done, but it wasn't compared with this expert, right? They didn't do that.
I believe so. Like I said, I wasn't.
So the shooting pattern doesn't really show you anything that would go towards his guilt, would it?
You asked me to guess, I'm not going to guess.
But there's no evidence that you could use and say, but the shooting pattern shows he's guilty, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained.
Nothing in that investigation that led you to go further, maybe in testing other things with that, right?
Amen.
Okay. Now, the crime scene, there was never a bullet, so we don't have a gun that went through a victim in this case, correct?
That's correct. We didn't find the projectile.
And there's obviously still stuff on the property somewhere that didn't get discovered. Was that possible?
What are you referring to, ma'am?
More casings on the ground somewhere, maybe?
We didn't locate any, other than the one behind the porch.
Well, and how long did it take before you all found that?
It was hours later.
And yet they were right there.
That's correct.
Right where he said he came outside and shot above the head. And your department couldn't find him right away, correct?
That's correct. It was too dark. No lighting.
Well,
Don't light.
Would it be fair to say then
The
the best
sun was
thing to
turned off
do
at the time.
is make sure no one goes in and out of this property, protect the crime scene, and revisit it in the morning if you couldn't get proper lighting out there?
You guys
There
don't.
was no hurry, right? I mean, you could have evaluated it,
I'm trying to
waited
keep
for
the counter
daybreak, and then go
accurate.
back out and keep looking, correct?
Well, we cleared and I applied for another search warrant, ma'am. You're correct. Not the second day, but actually hours after we left. Same day.
And then you look to witnesses to
36.
determine your strength of your case and your investigation.
We're not counting every time he says
And I
no.
mentioned earlier there was 3. The jurors are aware of 1. But there's also Mrs. Kelly. She's a witness, isn't she?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the defendant being cooperative, Alan was just chatting away, trying to help, saying that he wanted to cooperate, right?
If he was 100% cooperative, ma'am, he would have let me know right off the bat that he discharged his firearm. But he never did. Also, he had the opportunity to tell several officers on scene.
Well, let's look at that line of questioning. Because your questions was, if I remember, let me see if I can find some. It was something to the effect, did you shoot at that gentleman? And you kept asking, did you shoot at somebody? Correct?
That's correct.
And he kept saying, no, I did not shoot at them, at him, the gentleman. Question, George, did you shoot this gentleman? That's the type of questionings you were asking of Alan, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if ultimately he says, how would I know? But then he said, but I did not shoot at anybody, okay? Because he's over the head. And he's owned a lodge. He taught people how to hunt and took them out on their property to do that. So we would assume in your investigation that you could assume that he knows how to handle a weapon, correct?
We can assume that, yes.
So you never shot this gentleman. And he adamantly said, no, I didn't. Okay, so that goes on for quite some time until you finally changed your question. After he says another time and another time, I did not shoot at those gentlemen. Did you shoot? That's the first time you didn't add someone else to it, a pronoun of some sort referencing someone. And he said, yes, meaning he did shoot. But I shot over their heads. So it was your questions that he's responding to, and you want him to do your investigation and tell you all that when he's relying on your questions and answering your questions.
No, Mac, he shot. He's the one that shot.
Over their heads.
Doesn't matter over the heads or at me. He shot, and there's a dead body.
Why doesn't that matter, sir?
What's that?
Why doesn't it matter where he shot? Just that the fact that he shot.
There's no way he could have shot over their heads and strike the victim the way he was struck, ma'am.
Exactly. That's why we're here.
Love that
Shooting
moment.
that way, over the heads, to my right, as illustrated in the courtroom on Friday, and shooting at a victim that you believe didn't move and went down right there. There is no way he did it by your words, correct?
Ma'am, Friday you were asking me some very hypothetical questions that I don't even remember what you were asking right now, ma'am, that day. But the shot, and Mr. Kelly, since the beginning, was very untruthful. Very untruthful. That shot came from him. There's evidence.
I'm trying to find the evidence. So we were going through, we had witnesses that had inconsistent statements that didn't pan out even against each other or to the scene itself. There was really not a confession here. So let's talk about another piece of evidence. A footprint. You remember that one?
I remember the picture, but I wasn't there.
Okay. So the footprint was a close-up footprint. And it did not help us in guiding us which way that footprint went towards. In other words, you could tell a heel from a toe on a footprint, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if that was, and I don't know if an expert has testified to this yet, but I don't think it's going to happen. But if that was Gabriel's footprint, the victim's footprint, tracking his footprints might have showed which way he was coming from and which way maybe he was going. Did anyone do that?
I don't know, ma'am.
Do you know that Border Patrol, who was assisting you on this case, may have a lot of experts that could have offered help in tracking? Did you solicit their help at all?
No, ma'am. I know when the first initial call, they went out there.
That's different from asking them for anyone in their group of agents are able to assist with tracking because you found a footprint. So, and if it was the victims based on the boot design, wouldn't it have been helpful for us to hear today which direction was that foot aimed towards?
Like I said, ma'am, I wasn't there when that footprint was
I didn't
found,
ask that, sir. You're the head detective that could have had the power to explore this piece of evidence.
Yes, ma'am, but I was not there at that night.
But you admit the photo that we saw was one footprint close-up that didn't give us any directionality, correct?
I don't know, ma'am. I don't know that footprint. I wasn't there. I didn't take it.
You saw it in court, sir.
I know I saw it, ma'am.
Okay. Did that photo give you any hints to the direction it was aimed towards?
The way it was taken, no.
Okay, thank you. That wasn't a trick question. So it was close-up, correct?
It was a close-up.
Hard.
Okay. Had they zoomed out and gave us some environment around it to help us guide us with that? That would have been helpful, don't you think?
It could have helped.
Yes. Now we could determine, wait, does that go against the way the bullet entered into his body? Or is there another footprint out there in that direction or coming from the direction to give us more information that could have done that, correct?
I don't know, ma'am. I wasn't there. I didn't find any other footprints when I went out there the next day.
But we know there had to be footprints because there's all of the officers' footprints out there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Kelly was fairly close to the body, correct, to check on him. The dog footprints would have been there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What about the three people that put themselves at the scene? And one of them right behind them, which we heard testimony here. What about their footprint? Where's their footprints?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay. But we didn't bother to get a tracker to tell us for sure, correct?
That's correct. We didn't request a tracker.
But it might have been offered since they were involved. The Border Patrol, maybe they would have offered someone for free if you had just asked.
They're always willing to assist.
Yes. And then there's the dog. The dog is what the two dogs, a Labrador, they're hunting dogs, right?
I don't know if they're hunting dogs, but I know they're Labradors.
Okay, and they are tracking dogs a lot for the breed. Assuming that, they're the ones that also happen to find the body, correct?
Yes.
From the story.
Yes.
Okay. So when Mr. Kelly went back out that evening, the dogs kind of took away from him and alerted to the location of the body, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
So when Mr. Kelly went out the first time to check on his horse and make sure the horse wasn't shot, which would have been in that same area according to DRR or witnesses that are in the case, why didn't the dogs alert to the body then? Did you ever ponder that question?
I don't know why, ma'am. I can't answer that question.
Is it possible it wasn't there then?
You're asking me to guess, ma'am.
Is it possible that this backpack was dragged? If it wasn't pulled to look into, maybe it was a body being dragged. Have you thought of that?
There was no evidence, ma'am, of a body being dragged, the backpack being involved in dragging, or a struggle, ma'am.
Okay, so why does the medical examiner note abrasions on the body?
When he fell down, ma'am.
Sir, that might be a bruise. An abrasion is more of a scraping.
If he's running, ma'am, if he's running, he fell face forward with his momentum, his body weight, that can cause injury too, ma'am.
You didn't check the alternative, did you?
What alternative?
Well, the fact that his hand is holding on to grass, maybe because he's being dragged.
There's no evidence of that, ma'am. There's no evidence of a struggle.
I'm trying to show you evidence that there could have been evidence of a struggle. Are you saying that's impossible, that this deceased grabbed on the grass in that type of motion?
When he's falling down, ma'am, the grass is pretty high. So he's grabbing his chest at the same time, probably grabbing hair too. Grass, I mean, I apologize.
Well, maybe the reason the right hand was under the body and the left was out, correct? Sound right?
Yes.
Maybe he was trying to hold on to his fanny pack. Possible?
I don't know that answer, ma'am.
Okay. His hand is cupped?
I believe seen the pictures.
What about the fact that the abrasion matches up to one of the sleeves? The abrasion is located where one of the sleeves was apparently damaged or frayed also. Did you notice that?
No, ma'am, I didn't notice that.
And this would be the abrasion on the arm. What about the evidence that in the... Let's take a look at this.
It's spicy in here. We're gonna get through with this in just a little while, and then we'll move on to the new content from yesterday afternoon.
All parties
It's a good reminder.
went to the evidence room before trial and looked at the evidence. Were you present?
Yes, ma'am, I was there.
Do you remember that we also took photos and you observed us taking photos, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did those photos look like the type of photos that we were taking, specifically the ones on top were the pants?
Yes, ma'am. Recognize the pen and the toy Mr. Martinelli was using.
Yes. And is it common practice sometimes to put something down as a comparison for size and length?
Not for us, ma'am. We don't touch anything with another object to not cross-contaminate.
Well, if you use a pen and you were upset about it, I will give you that. But if you use a pen to lift up, there's no DNA. It's a way of collecting evidence. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
These were by Mr. Martinelli, correct?
Yes. But you were right there
Yes,
observing.
yes.
And you took your own photos of some of the same items that we were focused on, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these photos do accurately depict the photos from the evidence room not too long ago that's been marked as defense TT.
That were taken by your...
Right, but you could identify these
Yes.
photos. I'd like to enter into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
TT is admitted.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now, there was a broken zipper pocket to the pants on this first photo. And so it's kind of potentially gaped open. The quarter was not there just for the juror's sake of information. It was to help determine size, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But the pocket was from the deceased pants pocket that was wide open, but possibly with a broken zipper. And there's a lot of debris in this pocket, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We got some of the grass, particles, dirt. So if a body was dragged in the pants pocket, I'm going to turn to the next photo down. And there's a pen being reflected to some of this debris found in the pants pocket. Sorry. And again, the pen is not part of the evidence. It was used for measurement. And these are the pants that was on the deceased, correct?
Yes, also the decedent's pants.
And we saw this hat in another evidence that I entered. Again, the way it was flipped on the body and the dirt that lies on it was something I pointed out before. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
And this reflects the broken buckle on the fanny pack, correct?
That's correct.
Again, if you jerked it off of someone or used it to grab onto them to pull, whichever, we won't know. It could have broken the buckle, correct?
I can't answer that, ma'am. I don't know what happened to that buckle.
I know. And I guess this is the buckle. I'm turning the pages. And now there's the fanny pack with the pen inside to show the size of the inside of the fanny pack. Correct?
That's correct.
And again, I know this person was probably out there for a while, but the fact that there was also a lot of debris in the stitches of his shoelaces, perhaps a little bit of ruffledness at the tips of the toes. That's what these two photos have. Can you see these two?
Yes, I can see him.
A little bit more of the pocket, on the back pocket, I believe.
That sigh was from the witness. Deep breath.
So you say there's no evidence of dragging, but wouldn't it be more fair to say there was no evidence pursued for dragging this body?
I don't know what happened with those pants, man. That debris can be from anywhere. It doesn't prove that he was dragged.
Yeah, but along with the backpack being up over his head, the broken buckle and the fanny pack on the side, the abrasions that match the tears in the clothing, and, you know, the debris that you just mentioned, I mean, together, maybe that should have been explored. What do you think?
Like I said, man, there was no signs of a struggle or robbery, being dragged, or anything like that.
Wow.
Then there's with the medical examiner, we don't have the time of death because we have reasoning that you guys don't have your own medical examiner. But it is, you do understand the duty of law enforcement in the state to gather the evidence. It's your duty to present it to a jury if it goes that far, correct?
That's correct.
It's not the defense's duty. You understand that, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So time of death is a guess based on the time that one of your officers noted his death. But it may not reflect. It could be a couple hours off. It could be 6 hours off. It could be 10 minutes off. You don't know, do you?
I'm not an expert, ma'am. I don't know.
No, but we didn't get an investigator. And if your county chooses not to have a contract and you can't pay the bill, then that's the state's responsibility, isn't it?
You would have to ask them, ma'am. Like I said, we don't have a contract with the coroner other than doing our autopsies.
But what if the time of death was 30 minutes before Alan called, noting the body? Wouldn't that possibly have exonerated him, at least with those casing shells that were by the house?
Like I said, ma'am,
Argumentative, Your Honor.
Overruled. Like I said, ma'am, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that.
So time of death could have helped the case one way or the other. Would you agree with that?
I'm not going to guess, ma'am, on that.
And the fact that the body was taken to a morgue right away instead of the medical examiner and placed in a fridge so that the body temperature couldn't be analyzed keeps also from this determination to be accurate, correct?
I'm not aware if the body was taken from straight to the funeral or to the OMI. I don't have that information.
And we also have angle issues because we all know from the skeleton that I brought in with the rod that was placed and placed by the medical examiner into the body, it showed, and I'm holding my pen up, showing a form of an angle where the bullet goes in lower and comes up upward, right?
I remember your demonstration.
And the problem is there's so many possibilities to say what it could be from, why it's in that angle. What we know is it's not necessarily a straight shot in and straight shot out like we would expect someone to shoot, correct?
That's correct. Now,
I'm going to put a rifle in my hand, although Mr. Kelly's left-handed, but pretending that he's like me, and I'm holding my pretend rifle. And I'm a marksman. I mean, I've been a hunter. I'm military. I've been a veteran, okay? I know how to shoot, okay? So I go to shoot, you said 9 shots, right? 9 casings.
9 casings.
Okay. So am I going to try to target something? Most likely, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Because we all been to the shooting range, right? You've been to the shooting range.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're trying to get that little hole in the silhouette, or however you guys do your shooting, but to show your marksmanship, correct?
That's correct.
So I'm going to shoot 9 times. Bang, 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 9 times. We got 1 bullet hole in a subject. Where is the other 8 damages? Why isn't there 1 bullet in DRR who's right behind him? Why isn't there one in his own horse, which I doubt he would want to do? But why isn't there some trees that show the damage? Or the pergola? All these things that I'm listing in my question are samples of things that could have been struck, but no evidence of, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. This is all argumentative, Your Honor.
Overruled. He can answer.
There was no damages found anywhere around the area.
So how does a marksman that knows how to hunt and shoot not show other 8 bullet pieces of evidence?
I have no answer for that, ma'am.
Is it possible that the 1 bullet and the 1 hole that happened possibly before he stepped out of the house matches better?
Ma'am, Mr. Kelly's first phone call was, I'm being shot at, I'm shooting back.
Well, it was 1 shot, and that's enough to say I'm being shot at. When you don't know, it's close, but you don't know where that bullet's going because he's in the house and it's right outside his house.
Is that a question?
So how does that square up to what you just said?
What do you mean?
Okay.
What do you mean?
Being shot. I get the question.
Go ahead.
You said that his statement was he's being shot at. But isn't 1 bullet, 1 shot from a rifle or handgun enough to say I'm being shot at?
1 shot?
Is that enough to say I'm being shot at?
Well, going back to his statements, he said at first he was being shot at, then he changed that he believed he was being shot at or close proximity to him. He changes his story.
Well, he doesn't know which person did it because it could be out by the body or it could be with these 5 guys, but it was close enough for him to feel threatened. He saw rifles, according to his version and Mrs. Kelly's version, correct?
Then they changed their stories again, man.
I think it's being fair to say, I don't know where they were shooting at, but I heard it. It's being honest, isn't it?
But when you're changing the story, man, from 2 to 5 to 10 to 15, now knowing if they had rifle was too far, if they had rifles, I don't know where the shot came from. I thought I heard a shot. His stories were inconsistent, man.
Do you know after he made his first call that, to Jeremy in the beginning, that after shooting in the air, that he believes he saw movement of possibly more people out there than 200, 250 yards out. Do you remember him telling you that?
But he didn't tell Agent Morcell that about the shoot. He just told him that he's being shot at and he's shooting back.
When you walk out the door and what you think is what you saw through the window and see them in this direction and you shoot over the head, and then as you turn around thinking they've gone and you see movement out there, possibly more people, and believing that this is a war between them. Where do you think he got that from?
Agent Morcell?
He's hearing, you all are hearing parts of the story based on what time you took to question him. And if one person would have just sat there and did this walkthrough, maybe the whole story would have made sense.
But
Is that possible?
There's no evidence, ma'am, of 5 people being out there running with packs or rifles. None whatsoever.
If you did the walkthrough and allowed him to show from the beginning to end and retell the whole story in order, maybe some of his bits and pieces would have made more sense, don't you think?
No, ma'am, because he was untruthful from the beginning, and his stories kept changing and changing and changing throughout my interview.
Some of them was just misrepresentation of facts from people.
Objection, Your
Correct?
Honor. Argument is
Sustained.
What about the phones? You did phones work. Now, I know we got text messages. We'll talk about that in a second. What about anything else where you were able to determine who was at the scene and different things like that? Did that show you any evidence that would lead you to believe in your investigation that he was guilty of this?
Oh, it did not partake in any of those search warrants, or if you're referring to the geofencing, ma'am.
Yes. So,
Detective Barba testified to that. He helped me with that. He assisted me with that.
But you oversee that and the results. Did it help at all in your investigation of making your case that George Allen Kelly did this?
But there was nothing, no other cell phone, no other data, no other pings found in the geofencing.
Okay. So the answer would be there's no evidence there.
There's
correct?
no evidence there.
Thank you, sir. And now let's go to the text messages. There were a lot of text messages first, in order of time, earlier, in January, proceeding in order to the date of this incident, okay, January 30th. There were quite a bit of text messages between Allen and the Border Patrol liaison, warning him of incidences. It was going back and forth at different times, in different days, but there was quite a few text messages intercepted in your phone dump, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. We're getting into areas that the court has ruled on.
This came in.
No, the text messages directly with his son and another individual came in.
All right, well, that question just calls for a yes or no answer. So
yes.
If you want to restate the question, it calls for a yes or no answer, and then we'll wait to see what the next question is.
Yeah. I think Marcel's messages came in. We didn't object to those. So I don't know what the issue is.
Let's just do a question and answer.
Okay.
Ask a question.
I'm asking you, wasn't it true there were quite a bit of text messages between the agent Border Patrol liaison, Jeremy, and Allen Kelly, discussing what was going on around his property and what was on his property? These messages were going back and forth in the beginning of the text messages that were entered into evidence, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's being made a big deal about is his response on how he acts with 2 close people to him. One is a close, longtime friend, and the other one was his son, correct?
I remember correct, yes.
Okay. Now, I know he brought this up, the way he acted when you first put him in your interrogation room on Friday. So he never said, I am going to kill someone. That's not what was said, right?
That's what the text messages don't say that.
No. But just as he was laughing off the initial sit down with you in the interrogation room, trying to joke it off, it could be that he is just also scared, and being a man's man doesn't like to admit that. Isn't it possible?
If he was a scared man, he wouldn't be out there patrolling, man.
Okay, being scared and going out on the front line in the military is 2 different things.
I've been in the military. I'm a vet also, man, so I understand.
So human factors come in even when you are forced to defend, correct?
But why would you be patrolling by yourself out there where he lives?
Because he has a wife that he's protecting. He has livestock he's protecting. Aren't those 2 good enough reasons?
That's what we're there for, man. Border Patrol and us.
How long does it always take to get help out there?
It depends, man.
Okay, so when he stepped out to see what these guys were doing on his property, he didn't have a right to defend his property?
There was no one else, man. There was no shot taken from... There's only one shot, man.
And guys running by with at least a rifle or more, and backpacks running across their window view. Now, does he have a right to protect his property?
Counsel, the court's going to instruct the jury at the close of the case on the legal standards for use of self-defense. It'll be up to the jury to apply that law to the facts that have been presented in evidence.
Yes, sir.
So this witness's legal opinion, this witness's opinion about whether something is legally or not legally justified, that's the court's province to instruct the jury on the law and for them to decide that issue.
And if I may, to the court, tell him I wasn't really trying to get him as a legal opinion, but as to his investigation and his comments, that he should have stayed inside and waited for police.
All right, let's give the court's instruction here. You could ask another question.
Okay.
You can try and rephrase the question or ask another question.
You will admit that he was on his own property, correct?
Yes, he was on his property.
And the only other person in his home was his wife, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And whether it's brave or not, Mr. Kelly stepped out to see what was going on his property, correct?
That's what he's stating, yes.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that he fears and have concerns for his safety and his wife's safety and his livestock safety, correct?
He's got concerns.
Okay. I mean, his horse was out there, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you really think he would have shot towards his horse? It was right next to him. It saved the life of DRR, didn't it? Mr.
Kelly went out there to check on the horse, to check if he himself had shot the horse, ma'am.
No, sir. He never said that.
Let's ask questions.
Do you really believe that a old horse that is more like a pet than anything else on that ranch, Mr. Kelly would have shot at it?
Well, you're going out there and shooting 9 rounds, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. With none of those rounds hitting anything, correct?
Well, he's running. Horse is running. And there's testimony to that, ma'am.
Can I have a minute?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I loved earlier when the judge is like, okay, let's just ask questions back and forth. You ask questions, he'll answer. It's a good idea. How does he know the horse was running? My frustration with this witness is literally his affidavits, sworn statements under oath have varied so differently.
You testified Friday
so
there's a
much from
pine
what
tree
he's
on his
saying
property.
today.
Where is this pine tree?
I said there's pine trees around the property, not on his property.
How far away, sir?
I don't know, ma'am. I will be guessing, but I don't know how far the Keno Springs area is to his house.
Well, you know how big his property is, correct?
I believe, yes.
Okay. And to get to different communities and say that that testimony is accurate to place them at Mr. Kelly's property would be a far stretch, wouldn't it?
Can you repeat the question, ma'am?
The fact that someone else at some other location has a pine tree, when you're saying everything happens right here at this location, how does that support that statement of DRR?
Like I said, ma'am, this is an individual that's in a foreign country with a 6th grade education, doesn't know where he's at. 15 minutes later, after he sees Border Patrol, he's running, that's when he starts receiving the gunshots.
AZ, DCS Oversight Group,
Well, you're
thank you very
giving
much for gifting the membership.
DRR a defense of being uneducated, but he's been in this area, obviously, and should know where he's at. But yet he placed himself on the wrong side of town, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained, but you can rephrase the question.
Did DRR say he was on the other side of town versus west versus east?
He just said he was in the area of Keno Springs.
What about the fact that we all got to see the wall, and he said he was about 2 football fields away? This property is way more than 2 football fields away from the border, correct?
That's correct.
And yet he ran to the border, right?
Yes.
He got away, apparently, according to his story, correct?
That's correct.
And whether he went around the wall where it ended or went over, however he got back to the other side of Mexico, he knows how far away he was, sir, don't you agree? Because he traveled it.
When you're being shot at, man, and you're running, you don't measure distance. He's running for his life.
He's got a defense for everything.
And he also said he was 10 meters away from the house. Are you familiar with meters?
Somewhat.
If I was to stand and get you to tell me about, not exact, I'm going to walk. I want you to stop me when I'm about 10 meters from you, okay?
Tell me feet, man, but meters, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to guess here. Just give me your estimate of 10 meters. Just tell me to stop anytime.
Stop, guess, I don't know. 10 meters?
Even an unintelligent, uneducated person at 10 meters could have seen the house. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
And he said he was 10 meters from the house. Correct?
I believe that's what he said.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
He also said that there was a Border Patrol road
I like to hear the
that goes
whispers.
directly to the border, right there by the house, and that's not true, huh?
There are some roads.
Well, we traveled probably the most concise road to get to the wall from Mr. Kelly's location, and you had to leave his property, go back out to the street, and go down a ways and take a different road to get there. Isn't that true?
We took the safest road out there with the jurors. That's the safest road we could take. But there is more roads out there.
Is any of those on Alan's property?
Not directly on the property.
Is any of them near where the body was found?
No, ma'am.
Just checking my notes, Judge. I'm about done. I'll pass the witness.
Redirect examination.
Wow. We're getting there, guys. We're almost caught up.
Good morning, Detective.
Morning, sir.
I'm going to start off with just the overall question. When officers respond, what is the response for when they respond the first time to the scene, to the Kelly location?
What is the response?
What's the purpose of the response? Do you know?
Preservation of life.
What's going on?
Active shooter.
Active shooter.
That's correct.
In your investigation, and you've sat here in trial, heard all the evidence.
Yes, sir.
How many shooters are there in this case?
One.
And who's that shooter?
Mr. Kelly himself.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to foundation. He wasn't there.
Well, it's his opinion, right?
Wasn't
You're asking his opinion?
Correct, Your Honor.
Overruled. There have been a lot of questions by both sides with this witness and others about what their opinion is, and based upon hypothetical facts and established facts. So he's previously given his opinion in cross-examination, so this is allowed.
And this is in no particular order, just based upon my notes. I'm going to show you what I believe has been entered as Defense Exhibit JJJ. Can I have a, let me just take your copy over there. You have JJJ? Or do you have JJJ?
You're going to make me look for it with no warning.
I'll move on as counsel looks for JJJ.
Thank you.
Detective, you're lead detective in this case?
Yes, I am, sir.
And as lead detective, you did the search warrants?
Yes, I did.
What's the standard of proof for the search warrants?
Probable cause.
You also assisted in the arrest of the defendant?
Yes, I did.
What's the standard of proof for the arrest of the defendant?
Probable cause.
And we're here in trial under a different standard of proof, right?
That's correct.
And who makes the decision, the final decision, if you know, on the charges being brought against the defendant?
County Attorney's Office.
So far, he's got the answers right, but I think he's going to trip himself up here. Needs more leading questions.
And counsel, I'm also looking for the photos. Is it TT? So JJJ and TT.
3 J's or 2?
3, I think. 3 J's and 2 T's. Let's talk about the, like I said, this is no particular order because I'm just going to cover some stuff. Let's talk about the measurements of the casings found on scene. You remember the cross-examination questions pertaining to whether or not you measured between shell casing to shell casing?
That's correct.
Or shell casing to a fixed object?
That's correct.
And you were also cross-examined on forensic expert from DPS Labs, Buitimea.
That's correct. I was here.
And Buitimea is the one, to remind you, did the ejection patterns.
That's correct.
Using that same gun.
That's correct.
And you heard forensic scientist Buitimea talk about if you were to shoot 10 rounds 50 times, would you have the same exact ejection pattern laid out on the ground?
That's correct.
You would have the exact same ejection pattern on the ground?
Yes.
No.
Well, if you have a bouncy surface?
Oh, no, it depends on the surface. My correction. It depends on the surface. You won't have the exact same.
Your story,
depends where it lands,
story
depends
just
on,
changed.
on the surface. That's what you're asking me.
Yeah, so what I basically want to ask is, Buitimea had his ejection pattern that the jury heard testimony about, right?
That's correct.
You were here.
That's correct.
And we have the ejection pattern found at the scene.
That's correct.
Right? Is there any testimony that they're exactly the same?
No, ma'am. No, sir. No.
Is there testimony that they're consistent?
No, sir.
They're not consistent?
Well, the shots from this, yes.
No, sir. They're not?
Oh.
Yes.
No, I'm looking for TT.
That's twice.
Yeah, and
Completely
JJ.
reversed his testimony.
Thank you, ma'am.
When questioned.
I'm going to
again.
go back to, I'm going to show the fanny pack real quick. Remember the cross-examination questions regarding the fanny pack and the backpack?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the examination questions pertaining to, I'm going to show Defense Exhibit TT, which has been admitted. And I'm looking at image 1, 2, 3. Image on page 3. Permission function.
Part of the problem is the prosecutor asks
That's a fanny
questions
pack,
on
right?
pace
Yes,
that
sir.
leads up to a quick
That's
answer.
the one where defense
needs
counsel asked you
thought.
about the buckle?
That's correct.
We see the buckle on that page, right?
That's correct.
Besides being possibly pulled and ripped, in your opinion, could the buckle have been broken when the victim fell to the ground after being shot?
Yes.
And also, too, there were some questions about looking at the photo, and the jury's got the actual fanny pack and evidence if they want to look at the actual item. But on that photo, do you see any blood on that?
No.
And once again, in the backpack, in the fanny pack, what was found? What items were found in those?
Items of clothing and food.
Also water?
It was water inside. Yes, it was bottled water inside.
And since we're still on this, I want to ask you, who was the first one to find the body? The first person to find this body?
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly. And we've heard testimony that Mr. Kelly has 2 labs, right?
That's correct.
So Mr. Kelly and his 2 labs find this body.
That's correct.
In your opinion, could Mr. Kelly and the 2 labs have contaminated this scene?
That's correct.
There was some discussion on cross about the time of death. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall we want to do two different things here. Time of death versus pronouncement of death. You understand the difference between the two?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall when the pronouncement of death occurred in this case?
If I can refer, but it's an approximate.
Asking his lead investigator if he knows the difference between time of death and pronouncement of
Would
death.
624 be approximate?
It was somewhere around 624. Yeah.
Do you know
And that's
the
the
difference?
pronouncement of death, which means the time of death happened before that.
That's correct.
Bleeding.
And you heard, talking about this, you heard testimony in this case. Was there rigor already setting in on the victim's body?
Yes.
You heard cross-examination question about the victim's position when found.
Yes, I remember.
Again, can you show the jury by physically standing up and showing us how the victim, when rolled over, how he was found?
He was right hand. That's just.
And where's his left hand?
What's that?
Show us both hands.
Don't put your hands
Don't like you're under arrest. I just want to show where is his right hand and where is his left hand?
I can't remember exactly the picture, but I believe his left hand was in the middle of the chest.
Right. Let me show you a picture to refresh it.
This has been shown to the jury many times. If you have questions about it, they've seen the picture.
I don't
the current
know.
testimony. If you have questions about it, ask the questions.
I do.
So bad.
So on this picture, you follow me?
Yes.
That's
And
3.
the victim has fallen forward.
That's correct.
Right? Is there grass on the ground?
Yes.
Like high grass, right?
Yes.
So if you fall forward, if you have one hand on your chest and you fall forward, what's going to happen? What's going to happen with your hand in the grass?
It's going to come in between.
Team was giving it too much
Do
credit.
you
This is a
have
wish.
Any information whatsoever
This is a wish.
that the marksmanship or the ability of the defendant to shoot correctly or accurately? Do you have any information whatsoever?
None whatsoever.
Let's talk about the casings found on scene.
Yes, sir.
We have the first. Do you remember the first phone call the defendant says?
Yes.
And that was to Agent Marcel?
That's correct.
At 2:30, right?
That's correct.
And then we have a litany of officers who have contact with the defendant after that phone call, right?
That's
I'm
correct.
going to object to leading.
Foundation, Your Honor.
It's just foundational, so it's overruled.
You have a litany of officers who are on scene who have
Foundation.
contact with
20
the
minutes
defendant.
into redirect.
At any time in that conversation, do you recall, was there any statement by the defendant that he shot his weapon?
None whatsoever.
If there was a statement that defendant shot his weapon, would you have looked for casings if he had admitted that?
Yes.
So bad.
As far as the pine trees go, do you recall when Daniel said when he saw the pine trees?
Yes.
When?
He said he was in the Keno Springs area right before they encountered or they saw Border Patrol. That's to avoid detection.
Then after that, they see Border Patrol and the event ensues from that, right?
Leading. Objection.
Sustained.
I want to show you that we're going to go into the transcript real quick. I'm going to show you Government Exhibit 15. 15.
A leading question is one where the answer is contained inside the question. And he can't do that. But unfortunately, this witness is getting the answers wrong when he does not lead. So if he asks the question, I mean, there's 3 questions he literally did a 180-degree flip on. When he asked the question, the witness answered, and he's like, he asked the question again, the witness answered the other way. So the prosecutor has to lead, or else he just gets in deeper water.
Yes.
Is that admitted?
No, it's used for demonstrative purposes. It's the interview transcript.
Thank you.
I'm going to have you turn to page 29 for me.
I'm there.
You're there? we're going to look at line 12. You see line 12?
Only defense can lead.
Your question was, this is about shooting his weapon, okay?
Yes.
And if I read something out of context, I want you to correct me, all right?
Okay.
Question. That's not, on line 11, I'm getting the question beforehand. That's not what you just told me. You shot at them. Answer, not at them, over their heads. Did I read that right?
Yes.
I want to walk us through, what does not at them, but over their heads mean to you?
No difference. That doesn't mean anything.
I'm going to show you.
I didn't shoot at them.
Turn to page 31
I shot at them.
And this is 30 minutes into the interview, right?
Yes, sir.
31, line 11. You asked a question, a follow-up question. On line 11, 150 yards away from you, question, answer, 100 to 150. I didn't measure the distance. Did I read that right?
Yes.
So he's putting the victim, do you know how far the victim is found in this case?
Approximately 116 yards.
Do you know how many times in this interview, because the jury's got it, do you know how many times you recall that the defendant finally admits to shooting at the victim or, quote, over their heads?
7 times.
Let's talk about Daniel's, before I want to talk about Defense Exhibit JJJ. These are the call detail reports. I think they've been admitted. JJJ?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was admitted.
And just for ease of record, I think we're just going to refer to it by the Bates number on the bottom. So I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit JJJ, Bates number 56 on the bottom. Permission to publish?
JJJ has not. Those are the call sheets, correct?
They have not or have?
Have not.
They were used in demonstrative, permission to use in demonstrative purposes. I thought the defense attorney went laboriously over each of the call logs.
So you want to use it for demonstrative purposes?
Yeah, we can use it for demonstrative purposes. I thought they were admitted.
Is there any
They
objection?
are admitted. They're admitted. I published the whole thing.
Yeah, they are admitted.
Triple J.
Well, we'll resolve that, but in the meantime, you can publish.
Okay.
Do you have any objection to publishing? You think it's submitted, right?
No, sir.
Right. Thank you. Side.
The judge is like, we're not sure if it's admitted or not. Go ahead and show it. We'll figure it out later.
Look at the bottom of that screen. Call report. We're looking at 3:05 in the afternoon. Do you see that, Detective?
Yes, sir.
And it says called and advised. What's the 865? Do you remember what an 865 is?
865 is the call sign we use for Nogales Border Patrol.
Border Patrol called and advised they contacted the spouse of Alan, and that's going to be who? Who's the spouse of Alan?
Ms. Wanda Kelly.
Ms. Wanda Kelly. And advised there were 5 on property. Caller advised Alan is trying to chase them south of the property.
That's correct.
Did I read that right?
Yes, sir.
Counsel,
sorry.
Do you have questions about this? I mean, the purpose of the redirect is just for you to read things that are in the record, so.
I do.
Okay, let's get to that.
No, I'm going to object that this exceeds the scope. I didn't even talk to him about this in my cross-examination.
She highlighted the fact that no one's chasing them.
Well, there was cross-examination about misinterpretation of the calls, but let's ask your question, and if you have another objection to the question, I'll rule on the objection.
Detective, did you have information pertaining to that report before you interviewed the defendant?
Yes.
And again, let me ask you, in your investigation, did you find any evidence of RIP crew activity?
None whatsoever.
Did you find any evidence of backpacks with drugs?
None.
Did you find any evidence of guns?
None.
Did you find any evidence of a robbery or a struggle or dragging?
None.
Just one moment, Your Honor. Let me look at my notes one more time, Judge. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Okay, finally,
All right,
we're going to
thank you,
slow
Mr.
this
Jetty.
down.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness from any members of the jury? All right, I see at least one or two. We'll go onto the headsets.
Okay, we are going to listen in real time for the jury questions. Now we're picking up. I love the setup. It was just as good before, but I love this. Okay, here we go.
I'm just going to take these in the order that I'm looking at them. First one I looked at, it says, for a judge. When the jury selection started, we were told that to not expect CSI level detective work might save time for defense to not argue lack of CSI level procedures available. I'll just do this. Ains a number 1. That's not really a question, so.
Might save time for defense not to question, because these guys are amateurs.
I'll call this Ains on number 2. Looks like it's from the same jury. It's difficult handwriting. Okay, question number, there's 4 questions on this piece of paper. AINSA has ATF ran serial numbers on the AK-47. Objection from the state.
No objections.
Was? Okay.
I don't know what number the CSI question was from. It was the first one that was handed to the judge. Was the witness sticking a pen in his ear?
Can you explain that? I'm not really sure.
Oh, he's raising his hand. Witnesses saying microphone, pointing up. Oh no.
We can hear you talking. Can you hear anything? Just go test 1, 2, 3 in this loud phone. You're probably hearing it through that. Yeah. Right.
Okay, we still have our mic.
I think he was hearing it through his headset. Okay. But I think I understand what you're saying there. But my recollection is the whole CSI thing. I mean, the court didn't say anything about that. I think that was in the state's opening statement. you're not, this isn't CSI, you've all seen CSI, or maybe opening statement or in jury selection. So I didn't say anything about CSI. And sure, of course. Judge, when jury selection started, we were told that to not expect CSI level detective work. Make save time for the defense to not argue lack of CSI level procedures available.
Interesting question.
Well, one thing I could do, and again, it wasn't me. It was the state, and it might have been in jury selection. I can say in response to this question that any statements made by any of the lawyers during jury selection or opening statement, once again, are not evidence. The defendant never has a burden of proving anything, and the burden's always on the state. But
jury's not supposed to hear this.
I think the thrust of this is something different, but I'm willing to go that far. Any problem with that from the state? Okay. Sure, no problem. All right.
This is all being recorded on the record. The public has access to that.
So what about, I don't know if the defense stated its position. That's the second question from this juror. First question on Ayden number 2 is ATF runs serial numbers on the AK-47. No objection. Okay, if he knows. Another question. If yes, were they registered to Mr. Kelly? That's a follow-up question to the ATF running serial numbers. If he knows, Ms. Lothorn. Another question. In respect to the search warrant obtained from Cartwright, when changing the words, quote-unquote, ran after to returning from the barn with rifle, would that change anything in your opinion?
Changing the words from ran after to returning from the barn? Would that change anything? He was not going to answer that one.
What's the state's position? Well, I don't really understand the question, so I'm not going to ask the question. All right, one other question on this piece of paper. Were Mr. Kelly's shoes and the deceased shoes the same size? Again, if you know, I would assume.
Mr. Kelly and the deceased, are they the same size shoes?
What's that? Okay. You know, I tell you what, why don't we've got a number of other questions. We're not going to get to the answers before lunch. Why don't I excuse the jury, and then we can continue to talk about these questions, because it's 10 to 12, 12 to 12. It'll take us this long to kind of finish these questions. Any objection to me excusing the jury? No. All right. Let's go back over. All right. So a lot of really good questions. Instead of, a lot of really good questions. I'm going to address the questions with the lawyers. We've got some more to go. It's probably going to take a few minutes to get us right up to the lunch hour, so we're not going to get your questions answered before the lunch hour. So what I'm going to do right now is excuse you for the lunch hour. I'll stay here with the lawyers. We'll work through your questions and whether or not we should answer or not. And then when you come back after lunch, we'll ask the questions of the witness, all right? So we'll get you out here a little early for lunch because we're not going to be able to get to these questions before noon anyway. I'm going to excuse the jury, and I'll stay here with counsel.
The judge checked and said, the jury, you can't hear, right? And the jury said no. The reason why the witness was complaining that he could hear, the witness had next to him on the table in front of him one of those headsets that has the frequency. So he was hearing the responses. He was even hearing the lawyers, which we could not hear. And he's like, there's a problem, I can hear, that's a problem, the mics must be on. And the judge tapped his mic, which was on, and he asked the jury if they could hear. They can't hear. In the courtroom, there is white noise. Very loud. The jury's like, we can't tell what you're saying. That's good. That's the point. This can be done in the public. It can be done out of the public. Sometimes they have preferences one way or another. It all goes on the record, which is public record. And at the end of this trial, this will all be released. You can go through and read all the sidebars and all that. As long as the jury can't hear this. The jury's absent, and we'll continue with the questions. Does counsel want to do this at a bench conference or an open court? Judge says here he thinks it's better to do it
Any
privately.
preference?
No preference, Your Honor.
I'll defer to you, Judge.
All right, let's get it. Let's do it as a bench conference. It's usually done up here at a sidebar at a bench conference out of the hearing of the public and the jury. So that's the way we'll do it here.
It's usually done that way.
All right. This is Ainsley number 3. This is actually 2 sheets of paper.
26 levels, 26
questions
decibels.
Number 1 and 2 were crossed out.
Volume.
Question number 3. In your testimony, you stated that the ATF K9 found only shell casings, and there were a total of 9 in the same area within a few feet. Why do you think that is? Hasn't that been asked and answered? I'm going to read it again. I'll read it again. In your testimony, you stated the ATF K9 found only 1 shell casing, and there were 9 total in the same area within a few feet. Why do you think that is?
These are good questions. Tell you, this is why I like using hardware instead of software to watch trials, because I can really manipulate the audio to be what I want.
Well, when did they find the other 8? I'm going to, if he knows from personal knowledge. If there's foundation from personal knowledge, then I'll allow him to answer. Next question. In the autopsy photos, there appears to be blood on the outer tan pants, but there is no blood on the something pants shown to the jury. Why? Looks like physical. Let me read that. Looks like physical pants. In the autopsy photos, there appears to be blood on the outer tan pants, but there is no blood on the physical pants. I'll tell you what. You can take a look at this, see if you can read it better than I can. Wait. So this is, you're going to see the bottom is question number 4. You can show that to counsel. Yeah, show that to counsel.
The reason for this answer is because the dog handler, as soon as they got the first hit, he said, "My job's here is done," and he left. Job's done. You guys get that soundbite reference?
I think it says physical, like you don't see it in the photo, but what was introduced in court. That's what I'm thinking. I think that's right. And that's consistent with what I read. Physical meaning the actual pants. All right. So I think we're all in agreement about, thank you, Louis, what was written. Any objection to that question from the state? It depends. All right, very well. Next question, again, this is same juror, but it's a different paper, so I'm going to mark this as Ainsley number 4.
Page 3.
You stated specifically in your testimony that the victim was shot with an AK-47, but you really don't know that since there is no bullet to test for ballistics. How can you be certain it was an AK-47?
Very confrontational statement. Question. You don't know that.
There were 2 expert ballistic witnesses throughout the case, and both of them tested their theories by photos and tests performed outside the scene. Why did none of them visit the actual site to perform these tests?
right, I'll ask the question if he knows. Okay. So that's Ains number 3 and number 4. And I'm going to mark this Ains on number 5. Question, what is the range for the AK-47? If he knows. All right. Excuse me. If the Border Patrol road at the Border Patrol road at the border, or is the Border Patrol road at the border within AK-47 range from the Kelly house? I assume there is the Border Patrol road at the border, so I assume it's the one where we were, right at the border. Okay. All right. And then, I think this is the final question. The Forest Service roads, are the forest, I'm sorry, these are really a little bit challenging to read, but are the Forest Service roads to the east within the AK-47 range from the Kelly home? Okay, are the Forest Service roads to the east within the AK-47 range from the Kelly home? I think those questions would have been better asked of the ballistics experts and the firearms experts that came in. I'll ask him if he knows, and if he says he knows, then explain why he thinks he knows, because I don't think he probably knows either, and he'll probably say that. But. Okay, let me just make sure I've got all the questions.
He'll probably say what, Judge? If he knows, he'll probably say he doesn't know. He'll probably say it wasn't me. I wasn't there.
One of the first questions was in respect to the search warrant obtained from Cartwright. We're changing the words "run after" to "returning from the barn with a rifle." We're not going to give that question, I guess, right? All right, all right. Those are all the questions. I'm going to leave these with the clerk. If any counsel, as always, wants to review the actual written questions to see whether I've interpreted the writing correctly, you're welcome to do so. All right. Okay, then following the break, is the state's going to have any other witnesses, or you intend to rest? Okay. All right, anything else from defense? All right, we'll break. All right, good, thank you. We'll break. We'll be back in court at 1:30.
All right. So those were the questions as they came in to the judge. One question wasn't going to be read, but everything else was. So we're going to skip ahead to the afternoon, which we did not get to hear because the internet was broken. I kid you not. The internet was broken. There we go. Let's pause this right here. So after jury questions, the judge will ask if the state intends to rest. That's basically as far as we got. See, we need a Recovery Addict timeout emoji so chat can put all right on a timeout. Doesn't happen, Ivan. We just learned this morning that it can't happen. I'm exempt. One of the perks, I might add. White noise is pure torture. It is, but we're able to hear what's happening. It's great insight. A few minutes behind, but had to LOL at the Paul Harvey restaurant reference, page 3. And now the rest of the story. Let's see. So you're saying it wasn't my fault yesterday. Amanda, apparently. It still is a little broken today. I kid you not. It's a little broken. Where are we at? Time-wise, 3 hours in. Can we do a quick break right now? Can we do a quick lunch break and then come back with yesterday afternoon? Because this will put us over 6 hours. Half-hour lunch break? What do you guys think? An early lunch? I know we've been taking lunch at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but what do you think about 11:48 Eastern? You guys good with that? Yum. Lunch is good? Okay, excellent. We will do that. Ashley, on that other side, if you're listening, let me know if I need to replace or change the pinned message. We're trying to work out how we can get those messages pinned for you as far as who's testifying on that case for Top Mark Media. we're following some breaking news about some cases that are moving forward. See, I was looking at Brian Anton, Twitter, posted about a minute ago. Says, extremely emotional court hearing for 4 suspects accused of killing Kansas moms, the 2 moms that went missing. Victims' family members had to be held back as suspects were brought into court. Family called Grandma Tiffany Adams up, blanking, I can't say either one of those words, an effing B. And as she entered, and others, sorry pieces of stuff. Bond denied. This is one we're keeping an eye on. We're going to be watching that case for sure as it moves forward. Also, we're hearing there's a chance there might be some SOV sits or pro se defendants in that case, which is going to be, first of all, it's a terribly sad case. It's terribly sad, but it's just going to be bizarre beyond belief. So bond denied. The case of the missing moms, it basically just ripped out of the news. It's straight out of the headlines. The actual case moving forward, we might be years down the road. Anyway, so let's see. Yes, I was referring to Top Mark Media as far as the links go over there, depending on the messages. We're going to get that sorted out. And thank you for helping that, Samantha. Hopefully we'll allow cameras in the future. I do as well. There's definitely going to be a lot of interest in that, looking for justice in that case, because it sounds terrible. Absolutely terrible. I need to watch Maxwell Anderson case in Milwaukee too. Send me a link to that one. What's up with that one? Amber says, yeah, I'm trying to find if we need a media access request filing. We probably do. It's better safe to have a media access filing on all those. If you've got anything that can help me with that, I would love to submit that. Majoring in medicine calls on her on the phone. I have to look in. I don't know the details of that one. All right, we're going to take a quick lunch. By quick lunch, I mean half an hour. And then we're going to be back here with the afternoon, what happened yesterday, which we missed because the internet was broken. So we've got to replay that. We'll watch it at actual speed. So it puts us like half a day behind. But with the internet being as spotty as it is out of Arizona right now, and the internet in general just being problematic, I think that's the best we can do. It's a Beatles lyric, so Sadie. It's a Beatles lyric. I missed the reference entirely. Baby Bear, good to see you. Oh my goodness, it's great to have you here. Love that orange courthouse by your name. I was thinking of cowboy candy the other day. You know what that is. Thank you very much. Let's see. How much time is lunch? 30 minutes from right now. We'll be back by 12:30. Does that work? So 40 minutes roughly. I can't time zone. Just do this. Alexa, set a timer for 40 minutes. Siri, set a timer for 40 minutes. There you go. I solved it for everybody right there. All of you are taken care of. You can thank me later. All right, we're gonna go ahead and have lunch. All right. We'll be back a little bit later. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again in about 35 minutes or so. Okay, Google, set a timer for 35 minutes. There we go. Did I get everybody? I did. I tried. What date are we returning to Judge Cedric's courtroom with SOV sit? I'll have to look at the schedule. I'll look at it on lunch and I'll remind you. Remind me, Jamie, after lunch. I'll tell you. Is that okay? Oh, it's hey. You guys are going to have to do the Google one on your own. I missed that one badly. All right. I think that's it. We're good. You guys have a wonderful lunch. We'll be back here with the spicy part of day 2. The state is going to rest. We know that already. What happens next? We'll see. Defense is going to put on a case. We'll see how good the witnesses are. You guys be good to each other. We'll see you in half an hour. First person to chat wins the internet. Could be you. Make sure you're there early. We'll see you. Bye.
I was kicked back